Hello, we are somewhere between, and before our episode starts, we have a brand new intro, and we want to thank the people that worked on it that made this possible. Their names are Camila Roman Gonzalez, Dono or Donovan, and Zion, and the producer of our intro, is.zmusic, and his producer tag is zmusic, and he did an absolutely amazing job. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, welcome to another episode of Somewhere Between a film and TV podcast. We're your hosts. I am Daniel Parra.
And I'm Erwin Trejo.
And Erwin, we're doing something special today.
Yeah, we are.
It is May the 4th.
Be with you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
And we are going to be ranking all of the
Star Trek movies.
Yeah. Number one is, what's the one that people don't like?
I don't know. Rathacon.
No, that's everyone's favorite one.
Okay. How many movies are there? Isn't there like 12?
There's 8 or 9, I thought.
Oh, I feel like there's so many of them.
But J.J. Abrams did do Into Darkness. That's the one people don't like. That's that one.
Oh, okay.
And number one, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. If this is your first time, hopefully you stick around. Remember that everything that we ever review, and I guess this isn't one of our review episodes, but we will be talking about everything in full spoilers. If somehow you haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies, this would not be the right one to go to at the moment. But if you would like to hear us and our opinions, and remember, these are just our opinions. I know how the Star Wars community gets. I saw some comments earlier on Instagram. Stick around, but just remember to be respectful. And
sometimes, unless it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
If it's
really funny.
Especially if it's towards Erwin. then we're good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Erwin?
I do enjoy those knee slapper ones.
The knee slapper ones.
Yeah, like if it's so funny, like you slap your knee.
Have you ever done that before?
Actually, yes. Yeah. So, funny story today, right?
You slapped your knee?
No, actually, I ran against the wall because I thought it was too funny. And it was like I was crying. I was crying. Okay.
Yeah.
So I work today. So there's this coworker, right? He's really funny. I'm not gonna name names of who, but how do I say this? He's really short.
Okay.
For his height. I think he's like probably like 4'11".
This man is 4'11"?
I mean, I say he's a man, but he's 4'11", but he's also young. He looks like he's barely 17 or 18. Okay. Right? And one of the managers, he was sitting down in like this sofa like chair, and the 4'11" guy comes by and like starts talking, and my manager drops his phone on the bottom of the sofa. Yeah. And he goes, "Hey, can you walk around and get my phone?" Right? And so my head, I was thinking, oh my gosh, just like a hobbit would just walk, like, just because he's like assuming like how he's like really small that he can just go up and like grab his phone. Yeah. Like, because he's a small person, like a hobbit. Uh-huh. And so I started laughing, right? Because at first I was like processing in my head, and then all of a sudden I just go, I usually like to laugh out loud, like bah, like that. And then I shut my mouth and I walked away, and I started crying. I just thought it was really funny.
Why did you? Is this because are you reading The Hobbit right now?
Kind of.
Yeah, it's on your desk.
Okay, well, my bad.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasted your time. My bad. Go ahead.
No, things are funny.
Okay.
Make me laugh, pal.
No, I'm okay.
I thought it was funny that you were like telling me that you like to laugh, right?
Sometimes.
And you just told this joke to yourself.
Oh.
You said like a hobbit, and then you made yourself laugh.
Yeah, it happens.
I thought you said you ran to a wall.
Yeah, because I ran against a wall. I didn't ran. It's just more like I went to a wall.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to show my face because I got so red and I was like crying.
Oh right. Whenever your face gets red,
I get really red with like a lot of things.
So but what I had pictured is maybe I can make you blush right now.
I don't know. You're not really smooth with it, so.
Sure. Well, no, what I pictured was you like trying to crash into something, like
like
the
that one
Kool-Aid
time?
Man. What one time?
Like in middle school, like at one time I was like, I don't know if you were there, or if it was our other friend Tishan.
Yeah.
If you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, I remember walking with him, but I was like, hey, you guys dare me to go through that sign while
I was
walking?
there
You
for
were
that. Yeah.
And I don't know if somebody said yes or they said no.
You did it anyway.
I did it anyway, and I did. Like the
I
Kool-Aid
do
Man.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that guy that our old childhood friend that we like made drink 2 liters of Mountain Dew, and then he threw up in the trash can.
And then he would have a Monster can in his sleeve.
Yeah. Oh, he's actually been mentioned on this
Yes.
show before. So, what we're going to do is rank the movies from worst to best. We are including every theatrical release. So we're not talking about the Ewok movies. I don't know if you've seen those.
I know. I didn't even know there was Ewok movies.
Yeah, there are 2 of them.
Are we doing the holiday special?
I have it written down to mention.
Okay.
But it's weird. Yeah. And then we are going to talk about the TV shows because I want to hear Erwin's input on the Clone Wars because I've only seen about half of it. I have some things to say about it, but definitely not as much as he does. And you didn't see Ahsoka?
I did not see Ahsoka, no.
Okay, and I have. So we will be getting to that after we're done with that. So, Erwin.
Yes.
Fully getting into it. What is your number 12 on your list?
It is Attack of the Clones.
That's your last one?
Yeah, that's my last one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't say why.
What do you mean you can't say why?
I think because it's like I don't remember a lot from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those ones where it's less impactful. Keep in mind, I don't know, it's like I don't want to say what my 11th place is.
Yeah.
Just yet. But there's a reason why it's my 12th place. But overall, what I remember from Attack of the Clones is I don't know. It's not. It just feels less impactful to what the story was when it came about Anakin, at least.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see much of it, I guess, compared to the next one that I might say. So.
Story-wise, do you remember like anything about? Is there any positives that you would have about this movie, or is this one of your like just lesser?
Kenobi and Skywalker, like just being 2 dudes hanging out.
Their banter with each other.
Yeah,
guys being dudes.
Just guys being dudes.
Hey, have you seen this? There was this meme going around the other day about like this Hulk hands thing.
Hulk hands.
Yeah, it was like, have you guys ever touched yourself with like the Hulk hands, like cutting a hole inside of the the big green styrofoam?
Yeah, my imagination is running amok right now. Thanks. I hate when people say stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we can relate, right? Yeah.
No. I never had one of those.
You never had the Hulk hands?
No, they were expensive.
Oh. I had dude, I remember, I don't know if one of my dogs got a hold of him, but Hulk's knuckle was like bitten out of.
They looked fun though.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I mean, what do you do with them exactly? Other than
just
touch yourself, I guess. But
I just remember thinking, I can't wait to break things.
They make you stronger?
No, absolutely not.
That actually did you ever have any of those toy lightsabers growing up?
Yes, I did.
Which ones?
I had the Skywalker one, and then I don't remember which. I just had a green lightsaber. I know it wasn't the Yoda one, but it was just like a random green one.
I guess on the topic
then a red
of
one. So I had like Vader's.
Darth Vader's?
Yes.
Probably from the Revenge of the Sith era, I bet, whenever all
like
of those are coming out.
Possibly.
Because that was whenever the marketing for
Mm-hmm.
those movies was insane
Yes.
and all over the place. And I had a bunch of lightsabers growing up. I remember Attack of the Clones was the first time I'd ever gotten one. I think it was for like a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gotten the Anakin one from, like, it had the Attack of the Clones packaging on it. And I still have it somewhere, I think.
Oh.
It's like fading and it looks old. But I think that buying lightsabers is super cool. I know that people like compete with them now and stuff, but I just like getting the...
I remember even as a kid, not even with actual lightsabers, like the toys,
Yeah.
I would just grab a big, long branch
And pretend that you
and
were...
pretend I was like, oh, this is my lightsaber.
Yeah. I guess thinking about that, what is your relationship with Star Wars growing up? How, like, what do you think about it, and does it mean anything to you in particular?
I think when it came to Star Wars, I think it definitely introduced me more to how movies were made and how the details of it. And by details, I mean more so like the score. Every time I think of Star Wars, I think of the score.
Yeah.
Always. And I love the imagery, especially from the originals, because I had a VHS as a kid, and so
Of
I had
the original ones?
just the original ones.
Okay.
And I remember watching those all the time, especially after, what was it? I think like when my dad got us like these small Lego boxes of like clone troopers, even though it wasn't even relatable to like.
But
I thought
the
it was
battle packs,
Yes.
yeah.
And I thought they were the stormtroopers, but they were clone troopers.
Yeah.
And so eventually my parents got the DVD versions of the prequels. And so then
Okay.
I was able to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even as a kid, I didn't enjoy the prequels as much compared to the originals.
Really?
But I think it's because the way they showcase the Empire in the originals had more of an impact towards me as a kid, just because I felt the actual fear from it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the characters in the originals more than the prequels did.
No, so I'll like fully get further into what I thought of some of the things you just mentioned later on in our list, but I think that growing up, Star Wars meant a lot to me. I had the same thing as you. It was introduced to me as, you know how sometimes you were just told that this is one of the best things ever made, and you're like, okay, and
sure.
then I remember watching these and
watching
being like,
Van Helsing. All right, makes sense to me.
you're gonna introduce that to your kids. That's me with Scooby-Doo too.
Yeah, dude, that one. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? I heard Netflix is trying to do a live actions.
You
have that,
yeah, I'm very excited about it. And then everybody it's by the Riverdale people. I know that the people.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm excited because that's tailored to me.
Yeah.
About like making that. I just can imagine already like Scooby-Doo with the Riverdale writing. That makes me happy. I don't know if that makes literally anyone else in the world happy.
I don't know who watched the entirety of that show.
What, Riverdale?
Yeah.
I've seen like half of it. And
I've
then
only seen the first season.
it gets supernatural and about like witches and stuff. It's weird.
Okay.
And then they time travel.
Yeah, that's
And
what I heard too.
And then the finale of that is that they like, instead of them picking one or the other, they're all dating.
Yes.
That's
I remember.
hilarious. It's so funny. But I'm convinced that show does that on purpose. Like, but Star Wars did mean a lot to me. I remember that was one of the things that was introduced to me as, like you said, that movies are made by people.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why, and same thing, it's really cool to get to visit all the Sam Raimi movies again that we just did recently.
Oh, yes.
Because there was this book I would always rent out from the library in elementary school, and it was about the making of movies, and it had all these behind the scenes pictures. And I remember one of them very specifically went over Empire Strikes Back, and it had all these set production photos, and it had these pictures of Darth Vader and Boba Fett, and seeing that alongside, I think even in that same book, it was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 that they would go over that. And I remember thinking that was like so cool. And there's a real sort of artistry behind these. And we'll talk about just how much an unrestrained artist can sort of be affected by, because I think the prequels are what they are, and we'll get into them.
Yeah.
But George Lucas, in particular, is somebody that I want to talk about. But number 12 on my list is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animated movie. And sometimes people forget to even put this on there. I looked on the official listed website for the movies, and they don't even have this on there as one of like the official ones.
Then why are we putting it on our list?
Because it's considered theatrically released. I think they just had the live action ones on there.
Okay.
It is bad. It's really bad. It's back when the Clone Wars. I know people love this show. The first season's not very good.
Yeah.
And this
I feel like we should talk about the shows casually. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. I've seen the first 5 seasons.
Okay.
Of the Clone Wars, right? I think there's only 2 more seasons left. I still need to get to, but I guess I'll say this now though too, where Clone Wars is my 11th, and it's only because how the Clone Wars show that I'm watching has progressed.
Yeah.
Because it definitely reminds me, or the movie itself reminds me of like the first season of Clone Wars. But even then, it was just it was kind of slow. Some parts like were great, but overall it was slow. But the impact the Clone Wars show has definitely drives a lot in terms of its characters that it showed in the Clone Wars. So I would give it another chance and watch it again. Yeah. Like just because of the show itself.
I could imagine that because I think the finale of Clone Wars is as long as the movie. It's like an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
And so that's basically its own movie too.
Yeah.
But the reason why this was put into theaters was because they were like, hey, we need to sell this show, obviously. And I do remember seeing this. I was really excited to see it.
I do remember it too.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I really liked it whenever it came out.
I saw it at the Round Rock Discount Theater.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I miss that theater. That's whenever you could go and watch. I remember thinking about how you told me you saw the Avengers like 12 times or whatever because of your parents.
Yeah, because they were like, "What do you want to watch? The Avengers."
Yeah. No, I mean that was 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the humor doesn't work. It's too childish, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's not. But the jokes don't work either.
Yeah.
And the action is so flat and kind of nothing. It has the exact same issues that I had with the early days of the Clone Wars, and it's that I think that they felt like they needed to include war scenes as much as they possibly could.
Yeah.
Without any sort of sense of why or rhythm or reason. I do like getting to hear the voices of some of the voice actors. Everybody they picked is amazing. I think that's the only one that keeps Samuel L. Jackson is that movie. But introducing the characters, you don't really fully get anything out of the movie. And I think Star Wars, the way it works is, you know how sometimes we talk about movies or things that can exist that will make something previously work better? Yeah. I think Star Wars works both ways. I also feel like additionally it could make things worse, but I do want to say that in about my next movie.
The 11th?
But yeah. But I will go ahead and toss it back to you if you have anything additional to say about the Clone Wars, in particular.
No, not really. I think these last 2 are like the last 2 of mine. There's not much to be said, which kind of sucks. Just because it has little to no impact. Me personally, in terms of like just like the stories of Star Wars. So,
would you consider any of these movies bad to you?
Honestly, no. I don't think any of these movies. I don't think they're bad in terms of its quality, or in terms of like, I don't know how to say this. I've seen a lot of bad movies. Yeah, like genuinely bad, terrible movies where I get so annoyed and like I just hate it. Yeah, I don't hate any of these movies. I don't get annoyed by it. But these last 2 movies for sure feels very like, oh, okay, like I see where they're going, so now I just have to wait. Yeah, and that's how I felt.
Star Wars especially, and I always read these comments on YouTube or whatever, and I even sent you a picture earlier today that I was like, I'm remembering why. The reason why we don't bring Star Wars up on this show very much is because we are huge fans of it. But we also like to avoid being associated with some of the fans of it.
I feel like I was a huge fan until I get so tired. Like I hear the word Star Wars and I'm like, ugh. and then I'm like, all right, I'm tired.
It's also because as much as I love our friends,
Yeah.
they are part of that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we have a friend that is like obsessed with it, but he's very obsessed with only one particular era of Star Wars. And I do agree with him on the Clone Wars. I got to the part where people says it gets good and I stopped, which was at the end of season 3.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I can see what people mean if the rest of the show is like this, because it was getting really good. And then I was watching it with my roommate at the time, Dakota, the firefighter.
The firefighter.
He would so tell you. He sent something earlier about firefighting. That's why I said that. But I remember thinking that I was like, okay, I can see this working from here on out, and that it does get darker and more intense as it goes on. There was some really cool stuff in the Clone Wars about Anakin sort of already turning and doing these. There was this episode I really liked, and he does it really briefly, and the show does this thing where they don't even comment on it. It's just something that happens, but he's in a room privately with somebody. Yeah. And then he starts to like force choke the person, I think. And then it moves on. Like they're just like, that feels weird and dark and ominous, and then they move on from it.
Oh, in the Clone Wars show?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like that where they just showcase a little bit of Anakin doing things where it's like, that doesn't seem very Jedi-like.
Yeah.
Or just like the light side and all. And that's what I loved about the Clone Wars. Just because they give you glimpses a lot of times of like just how Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, like how much space and how much time there was.
Yeah.
And storytelling just to get to Revenge of the Sith. And I see it now.
Yeah.
I can see why so many people love the prequels now.
Yeah.
Because the Clone Wars show. And I mean, but I guess whenever we get...
No, it's hard because I have so many different thoughts about like what you're saying, but about different movies. And I am going to go ahead and give you my number, was it 11?
Yeah.
The Rise of Skywalker. I was debating this heavily.
Yeah.
This movie, I don't think I like very much. And it's hard for me to say that because I remember the first night we ever saw it, we went to the Pflugerville, Tinseltown, at a 2 a.m. showing.
Yes.
And I remember that was the start of my cheat day as well.
Yes.
I brought in a block of cheese and
I had a piece of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a Monster Nitro. And I remember wanting a milkshake really bad, but the concession stand was closed.
Yeah.
And we saw it in this like discount IMAX, but it was the XD thing that they do.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember having the time of my life that night.
Yeah.
But also, like, it was shaking the theater. It was the ideal situation to have seen this movie, because we even talked about it until like 5 or 6 in the morning. Like the lights were coming up whenever we were standing outside.
Oh, okay.
So critical thinking was kind of out the window.
Yeah.
Whenever we saw that, but I do remember being like, "Yeah, this was great," and then I remember hearing the early reactions to it and everybody being like, this movie kind of sucks. Yeah. And then I was like, nah, I bet it's, who knows. But every single thing about this particular brand of blockbuster filmmaking is the thing that I cannot stand, where there's no vision, there's no director behind it. It feels like it's made by committee. I cannot stand that they chose to retcon some of the decisions of a movie that we'll talk about later because of some angry people on the internet. And it feels like there's just no backbone there. I'm sort of complaining about some of the stuff behind it, but really, all in all, the movie's just not very well told. It's scattered and all over the place, and I think sort of doesn't fully drive home a character arc that was initially going to be my favorite in the series with Kylo Ren. It fumbles that completely. It fumbles the stuff with Rey because it contradicts itself from the previous movie where it says that anybody could be a Jedi. There's no reason for her to have been related to Palpatine at all. And
oh man, I agree. I think okay, how do I say this too? So with Rise of Skywalker, right? I mean, I don't know if I want to spoil where I placed it too, but I'll do that later.
I bet it's higher than me. I bet, yeah.
But I think for me, when it came to Rise, the good thing I would say, until the very end, until it happens with is Kylo Ren throughout those entire movies. But with Rise of Skywalker, I love when they did bring back Han Solo.
That part works really
and
well.
So,
yeah.
And I loved how he was like trying to help Rey and everything. I don't like the fact that him and Rey kiss at the end too.
Yeah.
Because not once did I feel like there was like romantic like tension or interest whatsoever. It just felt like they were both trying to fight something internally.
Yeah.
Like it's like a struggle in terms of what they believed in. And that's what I got at least from like all three movies altogether. I did not like how they did with or what they did with Finn as well.
It's
just there's so much.
Why is there a moment in that movie where they set something up and then it goes nowhere, where he's like, I have something to tell you, and then they never address it?
Yeah.
Ever. There's so many indications that movie was pieced together and cut apart, and they bounce back and forth. Also, there's this dumb fucking moment in that movie whenever Chewbacca dies, but doesn't really, because he just walks on screen and it's played like what the fuck just happened?
That's a scene that would happen in the Clone Wars.
Oh really?
Yes, because like the way you described it, like I've seen that plenty of times in the Clone Wars, but that also happened in Solo, or it's like, or like the trailer. Oh no, Chewie's about to die.
We used to joke about that all the time, but like he's about to hit a cliff.
Yeah.
I remember always theorizing as a joke. I didn't ever think this actually happened. I'd be like, it'd be so funny if that was Chewbacca's twin brother. He took over the mantle, and
there you go.
As Chewbacca.
You will become Chewbacca now.
That reminds me of do you remember your pug?
Yes.
Nemo.
Oh yeah.
Can I tell this story?
Wait, what happened?
So you had a cross-eyed pug.
Yes.
For a while.
Most pugs look like that.
No, but yours was like he had a like eye that went inward.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And then one day I came back over, and Nemo was there, and you called him Nemo, but his eyes were straight.
Okay.
And I asked you, Erwin, what happened to Nemo? And you were like, that's a different dog. And do you remember?
Oh yes, I think it's like the original one died or something, or we got rid of it.
I thought you told me that he
like
ran away or
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, one of those two. And my dad, of course, like I think it was like my mom being upset about it, so my dad just got another one. And it's like, oh, this is Nemo, just a different one.
He just gave you the same name.
Yeah.
Not you, but the dog.
Yeah. You can just do that, you know.
That's so weird. Wait.
What?
Would you get a dog if your dog passed away?
Right now?
Yeah.
I have no connection with any of my animals.
Okay, let's say you did. Let's say that you had a dog that you loved.
But why? I mean, it's not happening.
Okay.
I like to play hypotheticals.
You do this all the time to me.
But it doesn't seem fun, right? When I'm answering the way that I'm answering?
No, whenever I like to ask questions that nobody gives me the answers to. Like, why is this happening? Where? What are we doing? Nobody ever gives more elaboration than they're supposed to. Like this, what did someone ask me the other day?
What?
Whenever they were like, I'll think of it in a second, because
Okay.
I'm like, I get asked hypothetical questions at work all the time.
I mean, I get it.
But yeah. But Rise of Skywalker is not a movie we've ever reviewed on here, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that we started the show after this had come out.
Oh, okay.
And I think we were all so nice to it.
Yes.
And I remember one of our friends had seen it a second time and was like, hey, if you watch it again, there are a lot more glaring issues. And I do remember because my dad didn't go see it with us, and he sees like everything with me.
Yeah.
And he will always make his like go out of his way to see every Star Wars movie. This one, he waited until like I got the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Erwin, I have not seen that movie since. I remember thinking like, I'm going to preserve this as a memory, and because it's very like glaringly obvious every issue with it on the second viewing. I don't like the thing that they did that was just sort of aping the end game thing. The end game thing at the end where they like, yes, I know some of the Star Wars ships. What the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Yeah.
It looks ugly. The action's not that fun. The Star Wars, like the lightsaber fights in this, the one that I do remember really liking is the sort of crashed, was it the Death Star?
Well, even then, it's just Rise of Skywalker 2. It because I think a lot of people like to do is they like to compare the out of all the trilogies, all three trilogies, they like to compare like the very first one to the very other first one to the other very first one, right?
Yeah.
So like Phantom Menace, New Hope, and Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Right. They like to compare movies like that first, and like and then like the sequel, and then the third one as well.
Yeah.
And so with the third one, people like to compare that Rise of Skywalker to like Return of the Jedi.
Oh, that's
right?
true.
And like it's something similar because like there's a big battle happening and then something personal happening. But even then, when like the personal stuff is happening, all the stuff that's happening, like the big battle stuff, isn't impactful whatsoever. And same thing with the personal one too.
I like some of the space battles, but I think they keep trying to up themselves with it, and there's just no reason to.
I give Rise of Skywalker something too, where because the Kylo Ren stuff, and then the way it looks way better than a majority
it definitely
of the prequels.
Looks better than the first two prequels, I
Yes.
think, because I did see Revenge of the Sith again the other day, and that's crazy how that movie holds up, genuinely. And I do remember it being so blue. Like, I remember that wasn't necessarily an issue. I think the best shot one in this franchise is a different movie.
Yes.
But it doesn't look bad. It doesn't. The acting is not bad. Everything that I have an issue with this movie is plot based. And some of the stuff that goes nowhere. I don't like the dagger thing either, that they're basically just on a chase for different things.
Yes,
the entire movie.
I didn't like that either.
And there's so many different fake outs about characters dying because they can't fucking commit because they might like anger a fan somewhere online. I really feel like this movie was made to sort of crowd control and please
Wow, you sound
people.
very angry about this.
Because I genuinely, this movie and the way that...
How did you feel about Justice League, Warner Brothers taking over?
Justice League? You know that I didn't like that either. Right?
Yeah, me too. I didn't like that either.
I don't like when studios interfere with a vision. Also, there appeared to be no vision for this franchise, like this trilogy.
I think this Rise of Skywalker 2 just felt another bland.
Yeah.
Because it's just very generic. And they played it safe, like you said. If they could have just committed to one thing and one thing only, then...
No, like if I told you about the things that are good in this movie, the action in the first two acts in particular is decent.
Yeah.
I have another complaint, actually. The Palpatine thing's fucking dumb. Why is he in this movie? I don't understand. Actually, there is one line that's very poorly delivered, but it's also a very bad line, and it is a meme. Oscar Isaac says it.
Oh, yes.
It's the somehow Palpatine has returned. And you know how they announced this, right?
No.
So there was a collaboration with Fortnite in 2019 when this came out. Wow, it's been a while.
Damn.
And what they did was Palpatine announced his return in a Fortnite video. So this is an integral plot point to the movie because in the title crawl at the beginning, it says Palpatine has returned, like his voice is from the deep or whatever.
Yes.
And
I remember that.
Yeah. This was something that you had to find out through playing the Fortnite stuff to do it.
But how? Where in Fortnite?
I don't know. I didn't know enough about Fortnite at the time. We didn't start playing that till like
last
year. This year for me, yeah.
Mine was like last year.
So I have no clue.
Yeah.
But this sort of like franchise tie-in stuff, I think it's okay to, have things that are like little cool Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
But making an integral plot point inside of a video game,
money's money. You gotta chase that bag.
It's ridiculous. And I do like Ian McDermott. I think he's great as...
Yeah. I think I'm just tired of Palpatine.
Yeah. But him always being like, I was behind everything is the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
But then again, that's how he was. He was like that in the prequels.
But
he's
works
like that
for those.
in the Clone Wars too, where he just plays like the puppet master.
Yeah.
But it's like it works then, but the fact that they bring it back now and you just keep doing it over, you just feel it.
It's the simple fact that they did it a third time.
Yeah.
And they made another. Do they make another Death Star in? They make something like it. So oh my god,
it's gonna be bigger. That's what it was. It was gonna be a bigger Death Star.
I don't know why I just have so many issues with that movie. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like digging things out of my brain about it that I'm like, that's right, that movie's not that good, and I'm glad I put it where I put it.
Yeah.
Because before I get into my next choice. What is your number? Is it 11 or is it number 10?
No, we already did 10 and 11.
I did 10?
What was your 10?
I've not done 10 yet.
You do your 10. I think I said my 10.
Are you sure? Look at it really quick.
Let's see. Oh no, my 10 is Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Damn, I don't know why. Oh, okay, I do know why. Honestly, I did see Phantom Menace again in theaters years ago whenever it was released again.
Oh, the 3D re-release thing, yeah.
And so, even then, and as a kid, I remember feeling I was bored until the very end with the whole Darth Maul, Kenobi, and Qui-Gon. I'm not gonna lie, everything, just that part alone, I was actually interested in, and nothing else in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way with Clone Wars, the movie, and same thing with Attack of the Clones.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's just the lightsaber fight was cool, and that was it.
Did you like the... We have the same number 10, by the way. So,
yeah.
Mine is also the Phantom Menace. Did you like the pod racing stuff, or were you just sort of whatever about it?
Yeah, it was whatever. I mean, I see the idea's there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not... It wasn't as appealing to me as to others.
By the way, mentioning some of this stuff, I do want to reference someone's video review of this, because everything about Star Wars in the world has been said in every video ever. So I'm not going to credit myself for having this criticism, but I did watch the pod racing again recently the other day.
Yeah.
And there is a video by Chris Stuckman when he reviewed The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And I fully agree with him on the pod race scene where it pans from left to right over and over.
Yeah.
You're right, the idea is there.
Yeah.
Whenever people cite the good stuff in The Phantom Menace, it's always two different things. It's what you said, which is the lightsaber fight,
yes,
and the pod racing scene.
Oh, yes.
I only think one of those things is good, and it is the lightsaber fight at the end.
Yes.
This movie is not horrible. It's not even that bad.
It's not bad.
It's just really aggressively dull.
Yes.
And
even the way it looks.
Yeah.
Everything on Naboo
looks
very bland.
It's so flat.
Yes.
And I know that people say that this is the one that uses the most practical effects out of the prequels.
When?
I don't know, because
maybe with the lightsaber fight, I can see that.
No, but I've looked at behind the scenes stuff, and I'm like, I don't understand how they made some of this real stuff look as fake as it does.
Yes.
Because it does look dated.
Yes.
I was looking at some scenes that people were like, you know how sometimes people have stuff on one perfect shot, and they were saying it's a good shot, and I was like, no. I was like, I don't agree with you. Maybe, however long it's been, 25 years. Maybe 25 years ago.
This is the first time when we've seen was like the audience members hate Jar Jar Binks so much.
Oh yeah, which honestly, I saw something with Ahmed Best. I'm not gonna say I like Jar Jar because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't also like. I've never hated him either though, because
he was brought back in the Clone Wars for a bit.
there was some stuff that I've seen and I like.
What about the theories? Oh
no, that he's Darth Jar Jar.
Dude, I would have loved that so much.
You know that he's the one behind Palpatine and he orchestrated everything.
Everything.
The scene in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, whenever he grants like full power to to him,
yes.
And I think George Lucas knew that people didn't like that whole thing.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that I do like in this is I am still really impressed by George Lucas's mind and his ability to create all of this stuff. I don't have any issues with the world building because I do have to admit it's really good. It feels really tangible and real, and the Clone Wars does benefit from it, and so do it's not something I would ever say I have an issue with. I don't think that these movies ever have an issue with you fully buying into how everything works here. The midichlorian stuff I accept. I don't. Yeah, I don't know why it's like.
I don't.
Do they ever touch on it in the Clone Wars or?
No, they don't even talk about it. Like now, once I don't remember them talking about what is it? How do you pronounce it again?
Midichlorian.
Midichlorian. I don't know. Whatever. It just sounds like chlorine at this point. I was like, but
mid.
Very mid. But what I loved about Star Wars, even just from the original trilogy, they made it. It's like it sounded like a religion, right?
Yeah.
And so it just had that faith, that sense of belief, and something that you just feel everywhere. And that was amazing because it actually felt close to something real that could happen.
Well, that's that stuff that works. Is
Yes.
that what I really don't like about the prequels, and when I say prequels, I really do mean the first two, because
the
Revenge
first
of the
two.
Sith
Yeah.
I separate from the feelings I have on these. Is that the Jedi are dipshits and they're
Yeah.
so dumb, and I think they do that on purpose, but I don't think they ever illustrate that point fully enough.
Yeah.
Because they are so lost in their own ways, and that's their downfall, and that can
Yeah.
be done really, really well. But I think Phantom Menace, it's so weird that Yoda acts the way he does in this, because
Yeah.
he's so separated from. He also, I don't know if you ever saw like the original where he looked ugly as hell.
Oh, when they
But-
tried to bring back the puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did.
And have you ever seen the pictures of what that puppet looks like now? He looks
No.
busted.
They can keep it.
Do you remember
updated?
the ketamine thing with him?
Yes.
We always had these like weird YouTube videos where we'd watch the prequels through like these. Do you remember those videos?
Yes.
And then I remember Phantom Menace had this one where like he really wanted Doritos Locos Tacos the entire time. What videos were these? We used to watch them all the time in high school.
I'm not the one looking them up.
Because
I
I
was
don't-
just there witnessing.
They were
all of them.
hilarious. Do you remember the Phantom Menace duel at the end where it turned into like a rave thing, and they
Oh, I
were
do
like
remember that one,
they
yeah.
were doing a dance instead. One of the best things ever made comes out of this movie, though. It has a name. It's called Duel of the Fates
Oh no, yeah.
by
that is
John Williams.
Yes.
And I understand that they've like been chasing that high of that particular piece of music ever since.
Because it's opera
And
like.
yeah, Revenge of the Sith, I gotta save my opinion for
Yeah.
it, but they accomplish it again with one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this movie's all that bad. I was debating seeing it again in theaters tomorrow, only because I was telling you that I did see 2 and 3 in theaters,
Yeah.
and Phantom Menace came out in what, 99?
Yeah.
So I was 1. I feel like I just should, because I do want to be able to say that I've seen every single one of them in theaters, and
Yeah.
I know that they're re-releasing pretty much everything. I wish they would have done what they did with Spider-Man, though, where they had them all weekly.
Oh yes.
Because
Are they doing it monthly, or are they just releasing
just this one, since it's the 25th anniversary
Oh,
of
okay.
Phantom Menace.
That kind of sucks.
I know. That's why I was sort of upset by it, but I was like, I mean, if I could, I want to see Revenge of the Sith again really bad in
I would
theaters.
want to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Revenge of the Sith in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
But moving on from our number 10, go ahead and tell me your number 9.
What was your number 10?
Phantom Menace. We had the same number 10.
Okay. Number 9. Oh, mine was Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think because the reason why it was a lot higher than these other ones was just because I can look at it and not be like, this is gross. Well, that's one thing. And then secondly, I actually enjoyed one character, and it was Kylo Ren until the
Yeah.
very end, but I'm just like, fuck.
Dude, he doesn't say anything in that third act of that movie. You
Yeah,
know
he
that? It's
doesn't.
so
He
dumb.
just runs in
Yeah.
and just starts to fight, and then I don't know what I do like the fact that the lightsaber when they like
that
exchange is
lightsaber's
cool.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. I like that, but I don't know. I think I already said my opinions of Rise of Skywalker when you were talking about it too.
Yeah, no, I was
So-
complaining a lot about it.
Oh man.
There are like some positives. I like the desert chase stuff. And
I mean,
know,
at the end, I think you could find some positive movies with the Star Wars movies at
yeah,
the bottom of our list right now.
Mhm.
But overall, when you're starting comparing all of them to the other movies that are gonna move, whatever
Yeah.
we move up to, they just don't match.
some of them are really fascinating for their flaws, and I can give them that credit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I do still rewatch even the ones that I'm not the biggest fan of,
Yes.
because I'm like, there is a particular moment in this I want to see or think about.
Yes.
And hey, do you remember? So I used to be dragged to flea markets all the time
Yes.
when I was younger, because my parents
I
would
would also go to flea markets too.
sell stuff at them, right?
Yes.
Did your parents ever do that?
Drag me.
Well, no.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure you had to go to them too.
Yeah, because I mean, like I was a kid.
But whenever the Phantom Menace was coming out,
Okay.
there was so much merchandise for that movie, and you could probably still find a lot of it for really cheap right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this one, and it was a lollipop, and it had Jar Jar on it, and his tongue was sticking out, and his tongue is the lollipop. Like,
No.
I'm being really serious
Stop.
with you. Yeah.
No. Let's just keep going.
No, I want to keep talking
No.
about this. If I had one, Would you eat it?
Well, I mean, you don't have one.
Do you know that?
Well, yeah, because you just told me hypothetically. But if you did, you would have said I have one right now.
How hilarious would that be?
No? I mean, we wouldn't know because it's not happening.
I want to tongue the
That's all I heard. Okay. I just want it in my mouth, all right? That's it.
That's what you said. You literally just said it. You were like, I want to tongue the Jar Jar lollipop really bad. I just want it in my mouth so bad.
You just said that.
Oh, no. We both
Wait,
wanted
what
it.
was your number 9?
Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
I like this movie. I actually...
I'm sorry. Why?
Dude.
Like, even with all the lightsabers, like, with all the Jedi in that dome, like, area.
The arena.
I liked it, but, I don't know. It still wasn't enough for me to... I mean, then again, Natalie Portman...
I gotta be honest with you here.
You haven't been honest with me at all?
No, this entire list has been a lie. What if I just had, like, everything was reversed? Like, Rise of Skywalker's my favorite, and then...
Dude, I would hate on you.
Someone somewhere...
No. I don't want to hear it.
You know how we would sometimes be like, hey, someone somewhere really loves Thor the Dark World. That's someone's favorite MCU movie somewhere.
Hey, somebody loves Ant-Man more than anything else.
Ant-Man, that's true. Actually, I remember, there was, like... I'm sure some people are hating on us right now for our list already. Yeah. But there's, like, remember this list of all the MCU movies? And they had, like, Captain America, the First Avenger as number one. And I really like that movie. But number one?
The one that's very common is Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
Always Iron Man being, like, the top, like, 3. And it's just because the one that started it all.
The one that started
I'm like,
it all, yeah.
Who cares what started it? Like, what's the best one?
I think how old we are is interesting. Because... of the way we grew up with the prequels, we were there for the hate of these movies.
Yes.
There's like this revisionist history that we talk about with movies all the time where people go back and say, what do you mean I've liked it this whole time? Or what do you mean I've hated it this whole time? No. I remember people hating these. All of them. Even Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
And especially for a long time, Phantom Menace was the worst one. And then Attack of the Clones was the one that was also bad. And the Revenge of the Sith is the one that people considered the best one, but still bad.
Yes.
I think people forgot that this happened or whatever, but I do remember people disliking these because we were like, I was in like elementary school whenever this was, and I think YouTube existed already around then because I remember having to ask my dad if he could look up the Iron Man trailer so I could see it. Funny enough, you mentioned that. But I do think my Attack of the Clones enjoyment does stem from the fact that it is one of the first movies I remember ever seeing. I can't come at it unbiased.
Oh, okay.
I have watched it again as an adult, and there's something about it that works for me.
Do you still get the theater experience like when you watch it again, or?
I don't really...
Do you know what I mean? Like that feeling?
It's that feeling of being surrounded. That's why I wanted to see Phantom Menace in a theater. Because I was like, I doubt it'll change my mind on the overall feeling. But I do want to be able to experience at least Duel of the Fates in like, perfect surround sound. Hopefully they're not projecting it in 35mm because Alamo keeps fucking that up.
Dude, I don't know what. Every single time.
It's been bad. And I was actually... It sucks because I love film.
Yes.
And... The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is also on 35mm.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like,
man, and this is gonna suck.
I hate feeling that way about it because I was like, ugh. But
I thought I'd pick digital.
Yeah, no, that's why I was sort of debating picking that because I was like, they keep like fucking this.
Yeah.
But
hey, maybe we could get a free movie ticket though.
Oh yeah, and it'll just crash completely.
Yeah.
I don't know if we already have the pass. What's the?
So we can get another one.
Like to go and see something.
No, yeah, because like didn't you get the one free movie ticket?
Yeah. I gave mine away.
Oh, okay.
And no, Attack of the Clones. I like the third act, man. I like all the Jedi running around and hitting each other. Is it that visually well orchestrated? No, I think it could have been done a lot better.
Yeah.
Is there some really cool? Are there some really cool ideas in there? Bad.
Damn. Oh, calm down. There's people out here who loves Django.
No, I'm not saying the character's bad. The way they handle him and Boba Fett, that is bad. There's
I do love the fact that they use the same person over. I mean, it's a clone,
Tamara
but
Morrison.
Yeah.
Jango Fett's a fucking dumbass, by the way, because of the moment whenever he's supposed to be like the #1 bounty hunter in the world,
Yes.
and he sends someone else to do his job and then kills the person. Like, why'd you send her in the first place?
Yeah.
And then like to kill the person with worms, and then but then he kills her.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
No.
No.
I really like some of the stuff that's in Attack of the Clones is introduced.
Yes.
The sort of neon kind of Blade Runner-esque city that they go to when they're hunting somebody down.
Yes.
That stuff's cool. The Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor stuff where they're interacting with each other, that stuff works for me. Hayden Christensen's not good in this one, though.
Okay.
And I do agree with you. I think that the groundwork for him becoming darker does not work as well as it should in this one in particular. There's a way to have made the sand crawler people stuff a lot better, where they kill his mom, and the Duel of the Fates stuff is cool with that. He has no chemistry with Natalie Portman. That romance doesn't work at all. I don't buy it. But at the end of the day, the stuff that works for me in this movie is, I know at the time this had come out, because it's weird, Star Wars. We talked about revisionist history and everything. But people did also kind of like Attack of the Clones when it had come out.
Okay.
And there was one moment that I heard that everybody cheered for, and I like it. It doesn't make sense to his character, but I have to admit, I do like seeing Yoda with a lightsaber. I like that fight that they have.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He has this hilarious noise he makes, though, that's not...
Oh, yes, when he jumps.
The scream?
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but...
It just looks like a game.
Yeah.
Like a video game.
And the way he bounces...
Yeah.
I know that it does contradict his sort of more methodical kind of belief in the Force.
Yes.
But the action scene is cool.
Yes.
And I like the arena stuff. I like... There's a line that I think is hilarious, and it's a joke that actually works really well. Whenever Anakin shows up and he's like, "We're here to rescue you," and then he says, "Good job," because they're all like captured.
Oh.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I like the creature designs that are in that too.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
But there's some really dumb stuff in this movie. I know that... Is Sypha Diaz in the Clone Wars?
Who?
Sypha Diaz.
Who's Sypha Diaz?
See, it's crazy you say that, because he's like integral to the plot of Attack of the Clones, but they never mention who that even is. They're like, yeah, he stole this stuff and then like disappeared.
What?
And
I don't remember that whatsoever.
no, and
I remember even the clones being dull looking too.
yeah,
Like they don't look bright as compared to like the Clone Wars show. I mean, it's animated, so
no, it's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
That this movie, I like it.
Yes.
It's ugly. It is so ugly. It's
that's why I'm like, at least with Rise of Skywalker, it's like the plot's bad.
Yeah.
But at least I can look at it and be like, oh well, that looks nice.
It's ugly, but when it comes down to it, that choreography is still some of the best I've ever seen with the lightsaber stuff.
Okay.
But the actual effects work.
I'll give the prequels that though too. The lightsaber stuff is probably the best.
Still the best it's ever been,
Yes.
I think. Yeah, in those.
Yes.
And I know it's supposed to be about the Jedi in their prime, and it kind of makes me wish, I'm like, can we see them? Can we see someone in their prime again? Because I feel like we haven't seen that in a long while.
I agree.
And some of the issues with the shows I have that we'll get to is that the limit, like the restricted use of the volume, makes the lightsaber fights feel really restricted. Because if I'm going to touch on this now, the Obi-Wan TV show, we did review. I have kind of soured on it a little bit. It's not bad. It's not great either, though. And I do think that the fight at the end really was the entire point of that show even existing with Darth Vader. And
well, that's what everyone talks about. Don't get me wrong. I talk about that scene too because it's so impactful. But wait, go ahead.
But the best part of that is I forget that I don't love when they do this, but I know that George Lucas is the person that like is insistent on this. He says this thing about poetry and how things repeat themselves. There's a line in Revenge of the Sith that is said again in the Obi-Wan show where he goes, "I will do what I must," and he says it again.
Oh yes.
And watching that scene again, I was like, man, it doesn't hit it the same as it does in that.
I think it just helps the audience to remember of what happened. But what I remember a lot from the Kenobi show is just that everything with Darth Vader for sure.
Yeah.
That stood out to me. But even then, with being Kenobi, I just remember a lot of Kenobi just not much development, because at the end, like, you can't even do so much character development with Kenobi, because how do you? I think the hardest part is the fact that they had to keep track of the timelines.
Oh yeah.
And make sure it all aligned well with the Clone Wars show, the prequels, but then also the sequels, and then
they have written themselves into something they can't get out of.
Yes.
And
so you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that people loved seeing Darth Vader in the Kenobi show is the fact that you rarely ever got to see Darth Vader in his prime.
What people talk about whenever it's like Darth Vader was really strong, and I'm not one of those people that really considers the books. I was actually just about to say that. Those don't exist.
Wait, and they're real.
No, I mean, they're real. I've read them. I didn't like them very much. I don't like the prose in those. But that's like from an actual like author standpoint. I don't like the way that they're written.
Oh.
And I did remember some of the, like, because that's the stuff with like Luke's the kids they have.
Yeah.
And they do extract some of the details that work from those books. I really like the line in Kenobi where Darth Vader says, "I am what you made me." Mm-hmm. That works. Yes. That's cool. That's great. Because I think the movie's about to come up on my thing too. Okay. Darth Vader makes you forget quite literally every problem you've ever had with anything you just saw.
Yes.
And he's like, just, that is the character that shows up that pretty much I understand why they use him so much to get out of things, because...
sorry to interrupt, but do you believe that there's that... People talk about this a lot too, where the way a show ends, the way a movie ends.
Yeah.
Right? Some people say that can make or break your movie.
It absolutely can.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if your entire, like, movie or show is great, like phenomenal, all the way till the third act, where something happens where it wasn't, if it's like underwhelming, or if it just doesn't hit compared to the other scenes, then it's just bad.
If you fumble a third act, then you kind of have a risk you're taking of people just being like, the first two acts are good, and then the third act kind of struggles and strains to be anything. And I wish I could come up with something off the top of my head. But
then, like, watching something where, like, it's so... Like, the first two acts are very meh to, oh, that's kind of boring. And then the third act is, like, great. Like, literally like how The Phantom Menace was.
Yeah.
And how people left that theater going, like, oh, that was great. Because it left on a high note. And then when they watched it again, they're like, wait, what happened?
Because nobody remembers the first, like, because you leave on such a high.
Yeah.
And we are going to get into, although my opinion on a movie coming up has changed back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
But I think that people just, that's their takeaway, how something ends. Mm-hmm. So if you remember being like, there's so many different movies where people are like, it was good until, and then.
Yeah.
But if you have the opposite, and you have a movie that kind of, like, either fucking sucks or is okay, and then the ending is just, like, amazing, then people will have that, like, in their mind from the end of it, because a movie has that ability to do that, but that's entirely dependent on you if you decide to, oh, you know what, I can come up with one right now, but it's intentionally underwhelming.
What?
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, okay.
And me saying this out loud right now, we are going to get more into those next week. That's one of the greatest movies ever made. But...
Let's go!
The ending of it is intentionally designed for you to be like, man, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of risky and audacious, and that is, like, coordinated, though. I think what you're asking is more about, like, a movie that just can't stick its landing. And I know some people have that issue with some of the older MCU movies.
Yeah.
Because they say that, like, all of it's good, but then the third act is kind of, like, moving in place, or sort of like the rest. I felt that way with Quantumania. Then again, that whole movie was...
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, man. I don't even want to talk about Quantumania. But... Wait, what were we talking about? We were talking about Attack of the Clones?
Yeah. Is there anything you do like about this movie that you remember? Or is this just one of the ones that...
I think it's just what you said.
Yeah.
I think the fact of seeing so many lightsabers in one place kind of
Yeah.
makes you go like, whoa, that's so cool.
No, and that's the first time they've ever done that in a
Yes.
movie, and I think that's why I'm like, look, I am childhood brained here for
Yes.
this movie, and I
Well,
know
I
that.
can't even imagine if like the next Star Wars movie they make it where they actually utilize the Force to its
Yeah.
full capability. Because remember even the Kenobi show when you actually see Darth Vader just ripping that ship apart.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh.
And I know some people think that they're like,
Yeah.
these Jedi shouldn't be like this, but I'm like, look, I think if they made a movie where I know that some people, do you remember like the Last Jedi remake where like it was like a ripped Luke Skywalker? That
oh my
poster's so
God.
fucking funny.
I don't know. People's
But-
ideas of Jedi's are not supposed to be this like since they're like this is a fantasy world.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like anything can be made up, just like whoever it's created, right?
Yeah.
But that's why people make so many like books that are created so much and like so much story and character development that it can be made up to whatever they want to perceive by the author.
Yeah, no,
So
I
like
mean-
whoever the writer is, whoever the director is, like they're gonna showcase what they want to see more than what we want to see.
Those Star Wars books are basically, they were, because they're retconned, official fan fiction for a really long time.
Yeah.
People had different grasps on what any of these characters even were
Yes.
for a long while. I just saw a tweet the other day that was talking about how like Luke Skywalker makes an appearance on like a Muppets show,
Okay.
and he acts nothing like how he acts in
Yeah.
the movies because they didn't have a grasp on who this even was.
Yeah.
Like he comes off just, I mean, it's the Muppets, but like he
It's
comes
the
off
Muppets.
he comes off like really energetic and kind of weird and
Yeah.
like nothing like how he is in any of the additional first 3 movies.
Yes.
But with Attack of the Clones, I don't know. Like it's the revisionist history thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
I think that I'm really curious where these are going to be like placed in the future in terms of what people are going to think on
Yeah.
them. But I do think that the stuff that I don't like is an idea that's introduced, like you said, with the Jedi,
Yeah.
where why can't they love? Why can't they? I think this is the reason why they're all sticks in the mud is because they should all be having sex, but
Wow, pro sex person here.
because they're all assholes.
Damn.
I love Samuel L. Jackson. I kind of hate Count Dooku. Not Count Dooku. That's Christopher Lee. I hate Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
I get them mixed up for some reason. They don't look anything
I do
like each other.
love the idea of how those different colors mean like different things. As
Yeah.
in, I guess like the purple, it's like you have a bit more anger.
I do like
to
that they
it.
had to come up with
Yes.
that just because he wanted a
Oh.
purple one.
See, and I love that fact. See,
Yeah.
like something like that, like that's something that was changed throughout, right? And of course, if you're like, well, that was never like that in the beginning. There was only blue and green,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, but why was there a green one before? It was just only blue and red.
Well, how come people accepted that in Return of the Jedi, but
Yes.
then like blue and red, I get it. Blue good,
Yeah.
red bad.
Yeah.
And then he shows up with a green one and
and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like
That's why I think that despite my criticism of like Rise of Skywalker, for
Yes.
example, I think the Disney trilogy will go down the exact same way that the prequels did.
Yeah.
Where people will say that they loved it, then hated it, then it'll go back to being loved again.
yes,
It's just going to be a cycle because that's how the internet works right now.
yeah.
Is
Well, because if something comes out and of the movie itself didn't meet the expectations of the audience,
yeah.
or of the fans, let's say, then they're like, well, we don't want this. We want the ones that you made already.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Well, it's so weird because remember how we talked about. So this is how it works. It goes, a movie comes out, it's loved. Then someone somewhere says, "I hated this the entire time." Then
Yes.
everybody's like, "That's right."
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm
and then,
cool.
And then what happens after that is the next version of that thing comes out.
Yes.
And then people are like, "This looks bad." You know what was good? The thing that just came out.
Yes.
So like No Way Home, for example, has this weird thing on Twitter right now where people don't like it. But I mean Twitter people. Twitter people are not real. They are,
They're bots.
yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
But then a next Spider-Man movie will come out.
Yes.
And then everybody will be like, they'll love it initially.
Yes.
But then they'll go back and be like, I think the previous one did this better.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're doing that now with the Raimi trilogy, where
Oh yeah.
of course, it's coming out, and then, they're like, oh my god, I love this so much. Oh, okay, not even that. Let's talk about the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
No, because people are
Yes.
doing that with those.
Yeah, like
And
I love this scene so much. Why do people hate on this movie all
Yeah.
all the time?
as two of your biggest Amazing Spider-Man 2 defenders, there are things in that movie that make
Yes.
no fucking sense. And like I get that about
Yes.
it. And I know that you get that about it.
Yes.
I was just thinking about how, because we are going to watch it again soon.
Yes.
it's okay to accept something that has issues and still enjoy it and not have to compare it to old things. Like there are some weird things that happen in that movie. There's a billion subplots. Somehow there are twice as many that there are in Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
And when we just saw that again the other day, I was like, dude, I forgot that so much happens in this.
Yeah.
And as much as I really, really like that movie, too much happens in that movie.
Yes.
And it's the stuff with, like, I was thinking about the Electro line where he goes, "Don't you know I'm Electro?" It's like, that's good.
That one's good.
The birthday candle thing.
Birthday candle.
Is so funny.
But even okay, I don't want to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I will talk about that maybe next time.
Yeah. Well, maybe, but
Okay, but
it's
even
just,
in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, though,
yeah,
I loved all the action sequences in that movie.
yeah,
I genuinely do. I think it's definitely, I would say it's definitely up there compared to like the Spider-Man 2 train scene.
yeah,
And like some of the stuff from Tom Holland's
like, man,
trilogy.
the stuff in Times Square, the
Yes.
stuff in the third act, that Green Goblin's not great, but
Yes.
that clock tower thing, I do cry. It's
Yes.
very effective and it works really well. But it's going to be the same thing with this. I'm sure that the sequel trilogy will get its love in due time.
Yes.
But for now, it hasn't. And the internet wasn't around as much back then. I'm sure that if I cannot possibly imagine if Attack of the Clones came out today, like that's what we were reviewing right now. How would that go? I don't know. Would we love it? Would we hate it? Would we be somewhere between? But you don't know that for sure though. What if it? Okay, here's the thing about that movie.
What?
If it had updated effects and it looked like any of the new ones,
Shoot, I don't know.
what do you think you would think of it?
Depends on the dialogue.
Some of the dialogue
I think
is atrocious.
I think if some movies had less of them just like exposition and just less talking,
Yeah.
I guess like just less dialogue in general, and they just showcase more of their like imagery, then yes, I think it would be better, and let the audience like actually dictate like what's happening. Then it would turn out to be.
That is definitely one of the biggest issues I have with Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
People, I can't stand. Star Wars does this a lot.
Yes.
There are too many moments where people are standing around telling me what they're thinking.
Yes.
I would rather they show, which is why I'll get into it later, but I do think Revenge of the Sith finally does that.
I was thinking the same
And
thing.
yeah, I'm gonna wait.
Okay. Yes.
on that.
What's your 8th one?
My number 8 is
Solo.
Solo, a
Yeah,
Star
me too.
Wars. Is it really?
Yeah.
Do you remember this movie?
No.
I
think I remember the trailer more than the actual movie. Oh man, I remember. Was it Woody Harrelson is in this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke. How can I forget about her? And
I remember Darth Maul for like a scene.
Yeah. I'm still trying to process. I'm like, why is he in it? Like, is he
Yeah.
just in it to like tell the audience
that
like,
he's still around.
yeah.
And then they didn't do anything
Yes.
with it.
Oh man.
So, this movie's good, actually, I think. But it's also... I just don't have any passion behind it.
Yes.
Why does it exist? I don't know.
I don't know.
And does it have some really great stuff in it? Alden Ehrenreich is incredibly underutilized in this movie. I don't know if you ever saw...
Chewbacca.
Dude, I love Chewbacca. That guy is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw Hail Caesar.
I did.
He's amazing in that.
Yes, he was great.
He's also really great in...
Cocaine Bear.
What the hell else was he just in? He was just in something that I
Cocaine
really
Bear.
liked. Oh, he is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, he's really good in that. I could have sworn he was in something else after that could come out, though.
I don't know.
But Star Wars has this weird thing where actors become a main character in it and then don't have careers.
Probably because they either make a lot of money or their status as an actor went down because of Star Wars.
It was because of that happened to John Boyega because of
Yes.
Rise of Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
Whenever they interviewed him and they asked him if he would come back, he was like, "No,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand
Yeah.
why." Same goes for Kelly Marie Tran, like because of the whole thing that happened
Yes.
with her
Yeah.
in Last Jedi, and she's barely in that. That's another issue I have with that.
I think 'cause she only does like voice work now.
Oh yeah, she was
Yeah.
in Raya.
Mm-hmm.
And Daisy Ridley, I remember reading just recently that they like had to convince her to come back for the new
Yeah.
Rey trilogy, which I am excited for. I do want to see what that is,
Yeah.
but I will watch whatever they come out with. Obviously,
Yeah.
like it just depends on how excited do you get for it,
That's true.
and not associating yourself with some of that part of the internet that is the way it is.
I think at the end of the day, you should watch things and make sure you're watching it based on your point of view and not nobody else's too.
Because that you have to separate yourself from that as well.
Also, it's just like expectations.
Yeah, we talk about expectations and
a lot.
the weight of them.
Yes,
and that my viewpoint on that, you should never go into something with an expectation. Like you can look forward to it.
Yes.
But if you want something specific to happen and it doesn't, and therefore it's bad to you, that's your own fault.
Yeah, because I can't even imagine. I don't know. Like going to watching something from like any type of your favorite franchises, whatever it may be. Like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I think about Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
And I did not, like, of course I say, oh, I expect to see Godzilla. Yeah. If anything, that's my expectation, right? Did I see Godzilla? Yes, of course. But I got so much more than just that, where it blew whatever expectations I had out of there. Because I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because whatever the director and writers gave me instead was so much better than any other Godzilla movie I've seen.
No, and I completely agree with that. And if they instead decided to follow, I don't know, I'm sure there are Godzilla like fan pages out there in the world that whenever we posted our review on Instagram, I got like 1 billion people that I'm like, holy shit, you guys are like, there's like a dedicated fan base for it for sure. And the Godzilla fan base has exactly the type of fan base that Star Wars does too sometimes, where they're like, I don't like Godzilla's dorsal plates and how they look in this movie. And
it's like I mean, I don't really care.
I do care about designs and stuff sometimes, because the Amazing Spider-Man is another thing. I don't like that suit all that much in the first one.
Oh, the Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's like the same when I see like Spider-Man Homecoming.
I don't mind it either, but then you compare it to like in the second one, and that's just like one of the
best.
Like,
I love that suit so much.
I do too. But no, going back to Solo, which I don't think any of us either really
I don't really know much. I mean, I think I like the actors more than I did or whatever they did with the characters. I'll say that.
This movie has a troubled history, and I am still convinced that if you just would have let Lord and Miller make the movie that they were supposed to make, that this would be a different conversation we're having right now.
It probably been like top 2.
There's some stuff that they kept in this movie that I'm convinced they put in as a joke. Yeah. Because I don't need to know how he got the origin of his dice. Yes. I don't need to know how he got... Why is they make up his last name? And I wrote... It's called Solo because it's so low on the list. But
you wrote that on your hand? I wrote that down. Yeah. Wait, can I see?
What? There's nothing on it. It was on my phone.
Oh, I thought you said you wrote it on your hand. I was like, oh.
I was like, Solo is so low
on my list. I was like, oh, damn, that's good, man. Kendrick Lamar out here.
Dude, actually, speaking of rap, I do want to actually talk about that with you. Okay. But before I do... I love Donald Glover, and that's incredible. That's the best part of this movie. Yes. Is I love his choice. He has like the
Didn't
look
they say
down.
He's gonna come back?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish they would have continued whatever that movie was supposed to be that they were gonna do, but they got kind of ahead of themselves there. Yes. And I think they must have been like, "Hey, who actually is gonna watch a Lando movie if nobody saw Solo?" Yeah. There's some stuff that's good in it. It looks beautiful, actually. Yeah. Some of the scenes are a bit too dark. It's lit weird. Yeah. But I do remember the third act of this movie, actually, because it was different from the other ones. Instead of an action scene, it's like a confrontation. Yeah. And they're just on like a desert planet somewhere.
Well, because it was kind of like Western-ish too. So
that's the stuff I liked about this. I've seen this movie a few times. It is watchable. It is good. I don't really remember it anytime I ever finish watching it. Yeah. I like some of the... stuff. I'm trying to remember any action scene right now. I'm them breaking Chewbacca out of somewhere.
I just remember the stuff with Chewbacca. I don't know why. I just think of Chewbacca.
That train scene with him is cool when they're like on a heist. Oh stuff. Yes. That's what sucks is I do think Solo's good and could have benefited from another one where if they made those like the Ocean's versions of these movies, that could have worked a lot better. Yeah. And it ends up being good. Yeah. From here on out, this is the most like just distinctly good and nothing else about it to me. Yeah. I think that some of the origin story stuff does not need to be there.
No.
It's one of the first times we ever saw one of those where I was like, hey, cut it out. I don't think that I need that all that much. Do you remember anything else about this? Or...
I think it brought up a discussion too where do things need to be explained, but like of something happening from a character that just casually gets mentioned in like the original stuff. And so, for example, whenever he did the the Castle Run or something?
Oh, the Kessel Run.
Kessel Run.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, what is that? What do they do?" Right? Of course, you could see like these theories or books or something that may have happened and all, but they actually showcased it in this movie. Mm-hmm. And how I remember everyone feeling so underwhelmed by it, like that was it.
Yeah. Because
and you're just like, it was so leaving you with the imagination.
Yeah.
And I would rather keep that more so than just keeping things explained. It's like whenever we make fun of the fact that it's like, how do you know this is their kid? We didn't see no sex scene.
Okay, so we had a friend. Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say that for Force Awakens, but we'll talk about it now. We have a friend that is obsessed with Star Wars, but he is obsessed with like the book portions of it.
Yes.
Because the people that we know like Rise of Skywalker the most out of those Disney movies. If that means anything based off of how we're talking about these. And I remember he was talking about how he was like, I don't get how they had a kid if we didn't see it. And we're like, do you want like a sex scene in these movies? He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm like, well, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, did I need to see the conception of Luke and Revenge of the Sith or Padme and Anakin?
Yeah, it's like, I can imagine watching like the originals and going like, I didn't see Darth Vader having sex.
He gets down. Look at him.
He looks down.
Like, have you? Sorry. Have you seen the? Have you seen? That was funny in Revenge of the Sith. I think it's funny now because that wearing a chain is like a sign of like the fuckboy thing, and Darth Vader like has one.
That's so funny.
It's hilarious to me. He looks cool as hell. Don't get me wrong.
Oh man, I guess I'm gonna start wearing a chain now.
I have one. I always forget to wear it, and just like Darth Vader.
Just like you're so like.
I'm just like him, but I don't choke anybody that I know.
He only chokes with consent, guys. Don't worry.
That's not what happens in that scene.
What's the next one? 7th?
My number 7. My number 7 is a movie that I bounce back and forth on now, and I gotta credit a show for this as well.
Dude,
do we have the same one?
That's right. Right.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Rogue One is really good.
Yes.
And I know we have varied opinions on this for years.
Yes.
I've bounced back and forth on this a lot.
Yes.
I remember seeing Rogue One and loving it.
Yes.
And then watching it again and liking it.
Yes.
And never disliking it, but the issue that I had on rewatch, and it happens more and more, is the characters in this one are nothing.
Yes.
And rewatching it again after Andor had come out, I'd mentioned that I was saving me talking about a show or anything. I think that Rise of Skywalker retroactively makes the 2 before it worse. Mm-hmm. But that's no fault of those movies themselves.
Yes.
But this one is the opposite. It makes Rogue One
better.
A lot better.
It's insane. I just can't believe it. Because like, everything you just said, I agree. Yeah. Because I remember like it's Rogue One's also the other the other one that we talked about too, where it leaves you on a high note with Darth Vader again. Yeah. Because that scene is amazing.
No, he's a cheat code basically, yes. And he's only in the movie for a minute, like quite literally 1 minute.
That's insane. It felt because I remember us talking about it. It's like it felt like he was in it like half the movie.
Yeah, no, because that's just like the lasting impact of how it ends.
Yes. And
he looks so cool. That scene in the hallway. Yeah. Yes, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But watching. Have you seen Rogue One again after you've seen Andor?
No, I haven't seen it.
I did not like Andor himself very much. Yeah. I love that character now.
Yes.
And we haven't even talked about what you thought of that show yet.
Oh, I loved it.
Because,
I understand why everyone else loves it. I can't wait for the second season now.
Yeah.
How do I say this? I love when TV shows are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it just makes this like, I don't know. It's like it doesn't compare to any other show where it just shows like the lack of effort other shows have
based off of other TV shows.
Yes.
Even some of the other Disney Star Wars shows.
Especially others. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're like Boba Fett. Dude, I can't. And like even like I love the side characters in
Yeah.
Andor more than I did the characters in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And I know like with Cad Bane that showed up. Like,
oh, and then he like fucking he dies.
yeah, and it's like he just shows up and you're like, "Oh, it's cool." But like it's only if you know the character from the Clone Wars show. But even then it's just like it wasn't
Cad
even
Bane's
enough.
super cool. I gotta be honest with you, because we have reviewed Boba Fett also on here. I think we might have been a little too nice to it back when that had come out, because I do remember, because we were trying to review it weekly kind of.
Yes.
And then at the end of it, we were like, I don't know if we ever sort of finished our like overall thoughts on it.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I think of that show? And I was like, there's something I really like about it. And I was like, oh,
you mean half of it?
No, the 2 episodes that are not about him at all.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just so it's not that good. It's like,
what's the issue too of them bringing back a character, or like them talking about a character again?
Oh yeah.
And trying to like, explain like their origin and just trying to make them something, even though just leaving your imagination up to it.
That's why the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian work so well, because that's what that is.
Yes.
You only see his face once a season, and I liked that about it a lot, because that never felt like it was betraying the whole idea. You still didn't know everything about him.
Yeah.
And season 3 of that, we're still going to try and say the TV shows for after.
Yeah.
But what like works for me with Rogue One, really, it is arguably, I don't think it's the best shot one, but it is up for discussion.
Yes.
And I think some of this works really, really well. Also does benefit from Andor. But talking about this movie by itself, the issues I had with it before was the characters felt like kind of nothing. I felt like we were stuck with a bunch of people that were sort of boring.
Well, they kept bouncing back and forth.
Oh,
too.
that was an issue, because this movie also has another troubled production history where Tony Gilroy had to come in and work with Gareth Edwards. This one pulls it off more successfully than like Rise of Skywalker does, or Solo does, because at least this feels like Gareth Edwards to me.
Yes.
He has the style down, his scope and his sense of scale there more than it's ever been. But yeah, the third act is amazing. It's really well done.
It's fast paced. I remember that.
But I couldn't really tell you much of what happens in the middle of it. I do remember really liking the opening act of it too, despite it being everywhere.
Yes.
And feeling like you were cutting between people every 2 seconds. Jyn Erso is somebody I wish they would have done more with, because even still, because of Andor, I still don't feel that from that character.
Yeah.
But Donnie Yen is really cool.
Oh, I like Donnie Yen.
And Rogue One is just interesting because it's maybe the one on this list that I've bounced back and forth the most on in terms of my feelings, for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you liked or had issues with?
No, not really. I mean, nothing that we haven't mentioned, to be honest.
Do you like the Sheldon Cooper robot?
Sheldon Cooper robot? Why
K2SO.
Oh, they compared him to Sheldon Cooper?
He acts exactly like Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory.
You've seen The Big Bang Theory.
I have seen The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I hear that people like young Sheldon.
I hear that too.
I know that he also got the origin of his bazinga recently.
Really? Okay, do you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Okay, what is it?
So
spoilers.
It's for young Sheldon, I guess.
And Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, I've actually heard that Young Sheldon's good, and the people that like that show are like, dude, I swear, if you don't like The Big Bang Theory, you'll like this show.
Oh my gosh.
That's like hilarious that people get really defensive of that show. I've seen a bunch of Sigma edits of Sheldon Cooper from that show.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing Sigma edits.
Just of anything.
Yeah.
I do. What is it? It's so he sees. It's like a factory somewhere. It's like a gum wrapper or whatever it is. Okay. He sees this sign, and it says, "If it's funny, it's a bazinga." And then he goes, and he just like stares at that sign.
Huh.
And then he's like, "Yeah, that's it."
No, wow. I mean, I feel like it works. It makes me want to say it now.
don't say bazinga. Are you gonna? What are you gonna? I feel like you want to.
I kind of do. I'm just waiting for a sign.
I'm not gonna say a joke that way you can say bazinga. I'm gonna be very serious for the rest of this. Oh wait, one more thing about Attack of the Clones, because I do want to touch on it again.
What is it?
The dialogue in that movie is atrocious, right? But the sand thing, I get him. I feel that.
I don't like sand either.
I don't like sand either, and the beach is okay.
I like the lake.
I
It's kind of similar to the beach.
don't know. People love the beach, right?
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I love the ocean. I
don't like the sand.
I don't like the sand either.
No.
It's coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere.
Bazinga!
He's right.
Oh, no.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's right. It's also really hot, and then it burns my and then I have to rub lotion on my foot when I get home.
You should rub lotion every day on your foot.
No, but I don't get burned every day.
Oh.
Also, anybody that walks barefoot on the grass outside and stuff, and then walks around on the gravel, you should wear shoes.
Did you see somebody today?
That's my PSA. No, I'm thinking about
No.
someone we know right now.
Like who?
Jack.
Oh yeah, he does that. He's just barefoot everywhere.
Also,
Yeah.
Star Wars and the prequels are the reason why I know him in the first place.
Why?
Because the first day we'd ever met,
Yes.
he asked me, he's like, "Do you like Lego sets?" And I was like, "I love Lego sets." And then he was like, "What about Star Wars?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we talked about those. And to this day, I love Lego Star Wars stuff too.
Nice.
They have deals on some of the stuff right now. Did you see the pod race set? It's actually really cool. But what is your number 6?
Return of the Jedi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What's
Okay.
yours?
The Force Awakens.
Okay.
Let's go with your reasoning first.
Keep in mind, I love Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. From here on out, these are the love, right?
Yeah, these are the ones where I'm like, I would intentionally just be excited to watch these movies again.
Yeah.
And so, I think the reason why I chose Return of the Jedi was as my number 6. What I love about Return of the Jedi is, of course, seeing Luke becoming the Jedi that he was training to be.
Yeah.
And seeing Han Solo and Leia back together again and actually being with one another. And then, of course, you see more of the Empire again.
Yeah.
And you see the final act where it's Luke confronting Vader and then both of them confronting Palpatine.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the first time you actually see Palpatine, right?
I think yeah, it is.
Right? Okay. And so you get to see that, and also, I don't know, just everything about it. I think it's just one of the ends of one of the best trilogies that most people would say.
Yeah, people always have the discussion of what are the best trilogies ever made, and
what are your thoughts on Ewoks?
Ewoks are cool, man. I like
Ewoks.
People compare them to Jar Jar Binks and stuff, but I don't have any issue with them really, to be entirely honest with you.
I mean, I think it was fine. I'm a sucker for greenery.
Oh
set pieces.
Yeah.
And so, of course, seeing that in Return of the Jedi, I was like, oh, this is so cool.
No, and it has some of the best ones. Oh yeah, they shot that with in those trees that are the cult and Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, the Red Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool, and
Yes.
I do love I actually think that I might be talking about Return of the Jedi soon. So let me touch on Force Awakens. The reason why I feel like this would have been higher, but this one to me is the one that's mostly affected by a later movie.
Oh,
and
okay.
on its own ground, I know it's a bit unfair to think that way, but it is my list. And
what? It's not ours?
Oh, well, my list right now that I'm going over, because we don't have the same.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. And I still adore this movie. I love it. I remember the trailer for this coming out, and we had a hilarious discussion about if Kylo Ren's lightsaber needs to look like that or not. That is one of the coolest lightsaber designs ever. It's my favorite lightsaber design. Yeah. And that's the one that I own. I have that lightsaber.
I think my favorite little detail from the Kylo Ren design is the lightsaber not being what is it?
Perfect, right?
Perfect, yeah. It's just you see it struggle to just to keep straight.
Yeah.
It I don't know why. It's just something. It's so beautiful because it just showcases Kylo Ren's personality.
Yeah, it's really rough around the edges.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say this right now: Kylo Ren is my favorite character in the Star Wars movies.
Whoa! Calm down.
He has the thing to him that I adore so much in every kind of character.
Yeah.
Him, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, Zuko from The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
it's just that essential kind of like unrestrained, unhinged villain transforming into a protagonist, which is why his arc at the end is just I wish like
it was better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
see, I would think I would have agreed with you if I haven't like where I am in the Clone Wars. I just can't. I think just because it showcases so much of Anakin.
Yeah.
As well, and they just expanded more of like him being the good person that he is. Because I know with the prequel trilogy they try to showcase it.
Yeah.
But it struggled just because of the movies itself.
No, and I'd be willing to change my mind on that because like just having seen Revenge of the Sith again the other day, which I'm holding like my opinions on it. I love Anakin Skywalker, and like I do want to finish the Clone Wars because watching that again, I was like, that's right. I do want to be more in this era of this world again. And it kind of made me wish that there were more stuff. Like, there was more stuff in the prequel era. And that's why I think they keep going back to it in the shows, too.
Yes, that's true.
Is because it is really well laid out. Mm-hmm. And I do want to see more of what was going on around that time period.
Yes.
And it's just the stuff that works really well with Force Awakens is... That was the one that people were like, oh my god, this is going to course correct and be nothing like the prequels, which that did happen. I remember that happening.
Yes, it did. I would rather watch the Force Awakens first compared to the first two prequels.
The first two prequels, yeah. And there's even a line about it at the beginning of this it's not meta, but it's something that whenever Oscar Isaac's like stuck in that situation where it's like things are going to be different now, whenever somebody says that to someone at the beginning of this movie.
Nah, you're reading into it.
Not really. The action in it is, of course, great. It's really, really great.
You definitely see J.J. Abrams' like style.
Yeah.
His director style, which is always the same.
It's
in a lot of his movies, except for Rise of Skywalker.
The freneticism works.
What'd you say to me?
The frenetic energy.
Spell it.
Freneticism?
Yeah.
I don't want to spell it right now. It's a
long
word.
I get it. If you don't know how to spell it, then that's fine.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I don't need to prove myself to you.
No, that's okay. I mean, I wouldn't either if I didn't know how to spell it.
Freneticism?
Okay, I don't know why. It's not a spelling bee contest here, man. Just
you're the reason why I got number 2 in one of the spelling bees. Do you remember that?
We can change the topics as much as we can, but if you can't spell it, you can't spell it.
Dude, I'm not gonna
just say you
I'm
can't
not gonna
spell
do
it.
this with you right
It's
now.
okay.
Okay, FRENETICISM.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't know if that was right or not.
Well, I know I'm right.
Okay,
so
well, maybe I don't know. Hypothetically, right?
Hypothetically,
if you were right, you would be right.
FRENETICISM. Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes you just like to throw words at me. I'm just like, what did you just say to me?
I was just talking about that with somebody the other day. There's like this TikTok that was like, whenever you're a friend with the weird vocabulary, I was like, am I this person? Because it was.
You are that person.
No. Because somebody was like, bro, I was absolutely flabbergasted by this. I was like,
okay, that's a funny ass word.
Because I remember on just our previous episode, I said I was dumbfounded by something, and the way you looked at me,
I was like, what the fuck? Am I dumb? Did you call me dumb?
Which one were we talking about?
Force Awakens. You were talking about Force Awakens, yeah.
I love Kylo Ren. I wish there's a plot point in this that I like had the potential.
I still remember in theaters when Solo goes, Ben!
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because it's a twist that's that kid, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then I had the exact same reaction everybody else had, where I was like, is that man 40 feet tall with Snoke? And it's weird, like, how this exists culturally now, because of... I do remember everybody loving this, and everybody being like, this is one of the best ones. Yes. And it's interesting. Star Wars is the one that's definitely put under the microscope the most in terms of flaws, because people are actively like looking for them in these movies.
I think that's a terrible thing to have, that habit, because you can definitely find a flaw in anything you look
literally
for.
Anything in the world. Yeah.
And so I can't even imagine just trying to find things where, well, this didn't meet my expectations, so I'm gonna find every flaw that I don't like, and just say that's the reason why. And I'm like, what? But your flaw could be anything.
I mean, like, if you're actively looking for something to be like found wrong with, you're going to find it. Is there anything in particular that you remember like loving about this movie? Wait,
what?
It took you like 2 weeks to watch this, right? And
because I was in Mexico.
Yeah,
so I was in Mexico with my family, And so of course I didn't have any internet when I was in Mexico, and the moment I came back, I crossed the border, and I got service and internet. One of our friends, the first thing I got was a message was Han Solo died, and I'm like, no, there's no way. And I'm like, Daniel, I was like, Daniel, I just got this message, and he's like, you just need to see the movie, Erwin.
Yeah, no, I remember like because I spelled it right, by the way. I was waiting for you to tell your story because I was like, hang on, let me check really quick.
Damn.
See?
And I didn't see. You could be lying to me right now.
What? Why the fuck would I lie about that?
I don't know, man.
The spelling bee champion right here.
I knew it.
7th grade, man. Did they do it in high school? It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't remember if you did.
No, that sucked, dude.
Yeah.
Because that was the age of like spoilers becoming a bigger deal.
Yes.
Because J.J. Abrams' like marketing style is to sort of market things as like the mystery box thing that he does.
But also the trailer. Remember the trailer?
The trailer is one of the coolest trailers ever. You can't
one of
tell
the
me
best trailers ever.
even if you dislike this movie now,
Yes.
you can't tell me that it's a bad trailer.
Yes.
Because I remember the lightsaber coming out,
Yes.
and then you see the little 2 additional things coming out after that. So fucking cool.
And then just seeing Han and Chewie.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And he goes, Chewie, we're home. And yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Ugh. This movie does have something that they never explain either, though, because you just trust that they would have, and it's whenever they're like, how'd you get that lightsaber? And then Maz Kanata's like, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
They haven't talked
She's
about
barely
whatever.
in them after that.
Oh man, that sounds like something I could see Disney going like, let's make a show talking about how that lightsaber got to that Rey's possession or something.
I think genuinely, if everything that they kept making spin-offs of would have worked, they would have just kept doing shit like that.
I would hate that.
So I'm kind of grateful that the stuff that I'm not the biggest fan of exists, so they can stop doing that.
I agree.
And oh wait, there's another thing about Rise of Skywalker that like they introduce a force power where you can just heal people.
Oh,
and they don't like that introduces such a huge, and I never mention this. I don't, whenever people talk about plot holes, I never say it's a plot hole. That is a plot hole. Because why the fuck? Like, did nobody do that to anyone else in any of the previous movies? That makes a Revenge of the Sith plot point kind of like make no sense. Yeah. If that were possible. What are your
thoughts on the term Mary Sue?
Okay.
Whoa. Let's calm down for a second. Ferocious.
I remember
F-E-R-R.
That's wrong.
Fuck. Well, hypothetically, if I was right.
F-E-R. I thought you were supposed to spell Ferrero Rocher for a second.
I think I was supposed to spell Fergie.
Like this. Also has one R.
Well, damn.
You're trying to prove what point to me that you don't know how to spell ferocious?
I don't think I know how to spell at this point.
Thank God for autocorrect, man.
F-E-R-I-O.
No. Furio.
F-U-R-I-O-S-A.
Furiosa?
Yes.
I'm excited for that movie.
Me too.
Wait, no. So, I can shit talk this man on here, right?
Mary Sue?
Max Landis.
Whoa! Not him.
Yeah, but he's the reason why this term exists in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the... Actually, I think he's sort of integral to why Star Wars has the fans that it has now.
Yeah.
Was because he went on a show that exists around the time, Screen Junkies, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Movie Fights or whatever it was called?
Yeah.
And introduced the concept of Mary Sue.
Yes.
And I remember this guy being like so far up his own ass, like about Bright.
But not even just Bright though, but like any movie, he had very opposite opinions on a lot of movies.
And I always felt like it was on purpose, kind of.
It didn't feel genuine.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he actually sat down and watched these movies too.
Yeah.
And just stuck to one thing.
Like, yeah, man, you made Chronicle. Like, that's all you've got. But actually, American Alien, the Superman coming of age story, that was good. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the actual person himself is like
not a good person.
Yeah, like an actively very bad person.
Yeah.
And the term Mary Sue means that someone is introduced that's a woman and has no faults, can't do anything wrong, and is perfect. It does apply to certain men too, but at the time it sort of felt like he was just sort of targeting this in this movie alone.
Yes.
And I don't fully agree with that. I do think Rey has flaws. Is it a bit more prevalent in the third one of these
Yes.
that she's kind of flawless? Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, even like the healing power.
Yeah.
Like you get that, but I like what you said. I guess what you were gonna explain. Well, before I interrupted you, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like that's something I had an issue with because I don't think she's flawless in the first one, but I think that it's weird because Empire Strikes Back, people are like, she didn't have any training and she can use the Force. Well, I'd like to remind you that Luke does the exact same thing in Empire Strikes Back. He has like 2 days of training with Yoda and then he dips out because it's important that he gets like loss of temper and doesn't complete his training either. Do you have opinions on this, or do you like...
No, I mean, I agree with you too. I think is when when you start comparing Rey to how Luke was too, because even with Luke has never flown a jet or like an X-wing before, right? A starfighter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, he's a pilot.
Oh yeah.
Like, what? Now he's able to like do things that others people like have been training for years to do.
Mm-hmm. And then he makes the G-spot in the Death Star.
Yeah, maybe. But it's just like
it combusts.
Any main character, you could argue saying like they're a Mary Sue of some sort.
Yeah.
And it's just because you need to drive that main character to the next story point. Don't get me wrong, like if you see the character going through through the story without any type of struggle to the point where you can't even care about the character, then yeah, it's not gonna be entertaining. Mm-hmm. But I didn't get that with Rey.
No,
in
I didn't.
Force Awakens.
I didn't get that either, and I do think it's important to have more flawed characters than sometimes they give us.
Yes.
I do sort of... Yes, there is a problem with movies right now and not letting the characters be as flawed as they should be, especially with blockbuster filmmaking at the moment, but that's what makes storytelling interesting.
Yes.
And George Lucas based his... Because I teach this all the time, because I mean that's my job. I don't think I've ever said this officially on here, but I'm an English teacher
again,
and these follow a structure.
Yes.
The ideal structure. It's called the hero's journey.
Yes.
We'll review it soon, but the Fall Guy talks about that very briefly. It is about someone introduced that you are this person, like the lens guides you become the character that's introduced to this. So putting him on Tatooine or putting her on, is it Jakku? It's Jakku, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I remember because Finn says it like a billion times in
Jakku.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
You are now the person you're following this along and being introduced to everyone. The scavenger stuff with her is really cool. Mm-hmm. The way she lives, like the old sort of... This is the type of fan service I like. The sort of old kind of like fallen ship and stuff that she's inside of. That stuff's cool. Like, what is the after effect of some of the movies that came before? Yeah. Because that's not even fan service. That's just like living in the world.
Yes.
And that stuff is awesome. But the actual thing that I have a problem with not this movie, but other movies that people complain about, is not letting the characters be as flawed as they could be. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if they don't trust the characters to be as unlikable sometimes, and letting the audience sort of trust in that. But I don't think I have that issue with this movie.
No.
And is there anything else you feel about... Well, actually, yours is Return of the Jedi, but...
Oh, mine? For, I guess, what's the next one? Our fifth one?
For our number... Let's see.
We just talked about our sixth one.
Number 6?
Yeah.
So...
Our fifth one. My fifth one...
You can go with your number 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
What's yours?
A New Hope.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know. When I was putting this together, because I know how you feel about this movie, I was like, Erwin's going to say something whenever I put this here.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, no, well, this is the one.
Damn, where's Revenge of the Sith? It better not be 2, dude.
Oh, well.
Oh, my God. All right, okay.
We're going to get into it. And, yeah.
Sorry.
But A New Hope is incredible.
Yes.
From here on out, we're in 5 out of 5 territory for me.
Okay.
And I love this movie. It's one of my
Yes.
favorite movies ever made. It has a lot of great stuff in it. The stuff with Luke and this is the first lightsaber fight ever. And I
Yes.
mean, it's just sort of them sort of whacking each other.
Did you see that one
I
fan thing or whatever they made, like video?
I appreciate people who make fan films.
Yes.
They are not for me.
Okay.
And did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of it?
I mean, I thought it was cool, but I mean,
Yeah.
at the end, it just reminds me. I'm like, oh, this is not like part of it. That's
I
I think of.
Well, that's just sort of like, I like the idea. I like that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm not the biggest fan of, and this is no fault of the people that make fan films, is whenever they send them to like Disney and they're like, "How come you're not making it like this?"
Oh, that's
And
funny.
It's so
I find
fucking
it-
dumb,
Dude.
It's
Or when people would try to make recreate the scenes again,
oh yeah.
and like they're the ones dressed up as the character and everything. And they're like, why wasn't it this? Or it's like, why didn't he say this? Or why didn't she say this instead?
Wait, there's one that's so funny that we used to
what
say
was
all the
it?
time. You know what I'm talking about,
Was one
right?
with Spider-Man, or is it?
No, wait.
Which one was it?
Tony Stark. It was Spider-Man.
Okay.
It was the what the
Oh,
fuck
whenever
was it?
he was snapping,
Yeah.
and he would say, what would he say? I wanted to be like you.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
Because
so
they're like,
terrible.
why doesn't Spider-Man
And just
take it
say-
instead? And
yes.
and it doesn't make any sense.
said-
And
I can't.
look, I love the passion that people have behind stuff. I love that Star Wars is very
Just
open to
wanted
that
to
as
be
well.
like you.
It's just, but if you let a fan write like something like that, could you imagine the Star Wars stuff we would have right now?
Oh man,
It's hilarious, some of the stuff that
Yeah.
people come up with. But I do also appreciate, I mean, as a kid, I was one of those people that would look up lightsaber fight real, and then and I just recently I was watching some of them, because some of them are really well done, and they even have competitions and stuff
yeah.
for people to coordinate themselves with that choreography and stuff, and they actually fight.
Yeah.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
I think that that's really awesome. And someone did this thing where they took their like custom made lightsaber thing that they did, and they made a fan film, and I thought it was really awesome until I read the comments, and they were like, Disney should take note, guys. And I was just like, never mind. I always need to remind myself to never go into the YouTube
Yeah.
comments for stuff like that.
I do agree with one thing was they should really leave behind the whole Skywalker saga
I agree with it too.
and
Yeah.
just move on from it. No references, no nothing, just start fresh. Because I felt like that, or it felt like that was happening with Force Awakens at least.
Yeah. What I remember thinking about Rise of Skywalker in particular was the introduction of Palpatine made this world feel too small,
Yes.
because something that I think surprisingly actually does this, but by making it not necessarily contained but really focused, was Andor. Because Andor was like, you get no sense that anything else is like, yeah, there's other stuff going on,
Yes.
but the focus on just these, like this type of part of the world, makes it feel expansive and
Yes.
huge. In the sense of like, something that worked really well in that was the TIE fighters actually feel threatening in it,
Yes.
because of their noises and the way they hide, and you've never actually seen them on that kind of level, and that works so well. But I do agree with that. I think that these movies in this world, they need to move on. They need to do something else, because there's so much other concepts to get through and
Yes.
go through, because this world is still arguably maybe the most well fleshed out one ever. But A New Hope is also really cool, because this is another one. It had production issues whenever, like, that's a consistent thing that happens throughout all of these. It's sort of kind of in the DNA
Yeah.
of these movies to have that, and that it originally had production issues, and people were like, what the hell is this guy making? Is this going to be anything? Like, imagine a guy being Chewbacca and you'd never seen anything like that before, and he's one of your main characters,
Yeah.
and blockbuster filmmaking hadn't been done on this level yet back in 77. So them trusting him with this, and from apparently like an early part of this movie was a disaster, but then it was saved in editing, and now we have what we have. But this movie is maybe the most self-contained one because it's the only one that was made that they didn't know if they'd make another one.
Yeah.
So it is definitely the most, like, it pays off the most. And do you have any opinion on the special editions of these movies? Because I think that that's the only version of them we've even seen.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I'm trying to remember the difference between the special editions and like the original.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Like, what is it?
The ones, so in this one in particular, there's a scene with Jabba the Hutt that's added in.
Oh,
and he looks ugly as hell
Yeah, I do
because
remember that now.
that was like prequel era CGI.
Yeah.
And they just add weird stuff like in the background. You could tell that George Lucas was in his like add animals everywhere.
Oh my god, yes. Now I'm starting to remember that. Yes.
Yeah.
With the cantina scene.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything too. Yes.
Because there's one where he's just like burping or something outside of the cantina. Also, I love Lego sets a lot, and I know you do. That Mos Eisley cantina is one of like the coolest ever.
Yes.
But the guys who are playing Jizz,
Why
that's the name of it.
Why are you laughing then?
Because it's funny. I saw something earlier that was like, are you a Max Rebo fan? Repost if you're a true jizzer. And that's
Jizzer. I can't. I'm a true jizzer fan.
Yeah, no, me too. Real jizzers are
Real jizzers.
both of us. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you why I love Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's your number. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and
You
tell
went
me.
on
Sorry.
a whole fucking spiel about New Hope, but it's your number 5. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you love Revenge of the Sith?
Probably the same reason as you.
Okay, but no, well, tell me.
Oh, okay. Honestly, it was. I was trying to remember. I would have Return of the Jedi first, and then Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Like I had them flipped, but the reason why I flipped them again is just because of Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. It's just like I don't realize. I understand why people love Clone Wars now.
Yeah.
And how the impact is compared, and how much better the prequels are because of it.
Yeah.
And especially like how it goes from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, and I guess it's what people said about Revenge of the Sith, like what George Lucas wanted us to tell.
Yeah.
And like this is the origin of Darth Vader, and like you see the turn of it, and seeing someone like a protagonist turning into the antagonist of a whole franchise is where like it was just so beautifully told.
Yeah.
And the relationship between the master and the apprentice as well, and seeing their like structure, especially from like the show and then into this into Revenge of the Sith as well, like it's just so I just love their whole dynamic.
So my question for you with Revenge of the Sith was there are multiple lines where they're like, we don't trust your friend Palpatine.
Yes. When
exactly do they become? I have to assume that this is an important plot point, that they're friends in the Clone Wars.
Yes, they're they're friends too. Yes, in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But you actually do see a lot of them, like, or lots of times of where they're just like talking, interjecting with one another, and like actual have like episodes between one of them. So
no, because Revenge of the Sith like works on me on a level like even without that.
Okay.
But that's what I was curious about, because I was like, I just know that if I got on the wavelength of the Clone Wars, like, because it was getting really good whenever I'd stopped, I could just imagine just how much that like pays off.
Yeah.
If that's technically the finale.
Yes.
To the show, and watching Revenge of the Sith again the other day, it has a lot of in like its own DNA that's really similar to Dune too.
No.
And that's also probably because Star Wars was inspired by Frank Herbert and Dune itself. Yes. And it's kind of interesting that we're getting these stories sort of again, but that's genuinely my favorite type of story is the fall of the hero.
It's what the goblin said.
Oh, they're like, what does he say? The one day they'll turn their back on you. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know, they want to see you fall or something.
Oh, yeah. We could rule the city. What does he mean by that?
We'll meet again, Spider-Man.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then the film just go crash. 5,
Did that
4,
happen?
3. Yeah, did you? Why? It happened every single time. It just happens every time.
But it happened there?
Yes.
No.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're gonna get the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I just know it.
Well, again, Spider-Man that does that. I guess not.
Where it's like, you can. What is it? What does Electro say? Don't you know
I'm
Electro? And it goes, and then it,
the music's
10,
so good.
9, 8, 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it'll do.
I noticed that. That's whenever they switch film reels out. Whenever a scene ends kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask you though.
Yes.
With Revenge of the Sith, your thoughts on the lightsaber fights in this, because there are a billion of them.
True. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, when people talk about the fight between Kenobi and Skywalker, they say, it's like it's so choreographed.
Yeah.
Right? But to me, even now, I don't know if I think that way. I just think that there's so much emotion.
Yeah.
That you can see with the characters that it seems like they're not trying to hurt one another, but at the same time they're trying to defend their ideologies.
Yeah.
As well, like what their beliefs are.
The scene I was just making us watch before this, whenever he's like,
yeah.
to democracy. It's so good.
It's so good.
But a lot of these ended up being memes, but like the thing about these movies is getting to
the
separate.
Memes.
If you separate yourself from the memes for a while.
Yeah.
These movies, like the emotions behind that, also that happen with the Raimi movies, they become impactful again.
Yes.
And that's sort of the issue is like, yes, it's funny.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
See that? Like the emotions, but...
Dude, it's just so funny. I can't.
But,
you know how much I sacrificed?
Wait, the scene in... the line I love so much is like, what does it matter to you anyway?
Everything!
So
dude.
Good. But wait, okay. What was that? Your number 5?
That was my number 5. What is your number 4?
My number 4 is Return of the Jedi.
Why?
And what do you mean?
Yeah, why?
I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Why?
Yeah. The first act of this
number 4 is Force Awakens.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Tell me about Force Awakens then.
Oh. What else can I add that you already added? Let me think.
What do you think of Hux? Oh, sorry.
Hux?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. One that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think what I loved about Force Awakens that even then, I was excited at the fact that, oh, cool, it seems like they're going to be telling something different. I remember loving Finn just because, oh my god, I was like, a stormtrooper holding a lightsaber now.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Yeah. I'm like, I love this. I really hope they go somewhere with this or something. And, and how that played out. And you're like, all right, great. But it's just the ideas were there.
Yeah.
And just even now, just seeing it, I still love it because it still gives me that sense of, it just reminds me so much of like the original trilogy still. Yeah. Like that same semblance, like the same story building. Mm-hmm. And so, and like everything else that was like said beforehand. So
no, Force Awakens, everybody and their mother saw this movie. And
my mom was asleep.
I saw it on my birthday. I remember, I did. Because after that, I wanted the Kylo Ren lightsaber so bad. Yeah. That way, I went to like 3 different Targets to see if I could get it. Yeah. And now I have it. But I also have BB-8. He's cool.
Oh yeah, my dad has one too.
Master BB-8.
Master?
But, yeah.
Wait, BB-8?
Yeah.
Master BB-8.
8
what?
Masturbate.
Oh, no. Dude, why'd you say that?
Because.
Oh, but I can't say jizzer.
You did.
Oh.
Jedi Master BB-8. Duh.
I am going to say that tomorrow all day.
What?
Master BB-8. It's a Master BB-8. Just random people tomorrow.
People
yeah.
Like, he's a Jedi Knight.
Sorry, guys. He's just a Jedi Knight over here.
But Return of the Jedi has some of the...
You think you call your sex toy Master BB-8?
Master BB-8? My what?
Your sex toy?
Whose?
Yours? No, like, I'm not saying you have one. I'm just saying, like, would you call your...
If I had one?
Yeah. Hypothetically, you didn't have one, but, like, say
hypothetically, you have one. You just hypothetically means I didn't have one.
I can't.
What would I call him?
Master
the
Hulkbuster. Ew, you still bringing back the Hulk hands? You're nasty, dude. Enough with those. Okay, talk about your number 4.
Hang on. No. This has some of the absolute best, like, ideas of good and bad. Why are you looking at me like
it's just it sounds like you're doing the advertisement for your Master BB-8 right now.
Join us
Join us.
as you experience a new world of pleasure. Go to a different galaxy. Experience the master.
Say far, far, far away.
Far, far away. It'll make you shoot far, far away. Experience the master BB-8.
Palpatine has returned.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Palpatine has become a jizzer somehow. No, he didn't make a billion clones of himself. Was he fucking? No, he has a daughter. Yeah, he was fucking. He was like...
Just keep going. Just talk about your fourth one.
Well, Ray's his, what, granddaughter?
Yeah, I think so.
So who the hell... It doesn't matter.
Somebody did.
When he's all wrinkly and old.
People are gross.
Retirement
People
homes
have fetishes, man.
deal with STDs a lot. I know that much.
I mean, older people can't have kids.
That's why they have all those like outbreaks and stuff when they're there, because they're like...
No, I'm saying like if he had like...
Palpatine had AIDS?
No, if Palpatine had like a son or a daughter.
Yeah.
Right? In order to have the granddaughter of Rey, that means Palpatine had to have sex with somebody, like a woman who is like in the age range to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she had to be at least like, what's like 40 or below.
Yeah.
So
that reminds me of another random thing about Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
All those people that are just sort of chilling while he's like sitting there. Who are they?
Like, they're all chanting.
Yeah.
Palpatine's. Yo, let's go.
Genuinely, they're not clones of him.
No.
I thought they were.
Oh, who were they? They're just like
random
followers?
ass people. Yeah.
That's lame.
I liked my idea.
No, that's
what I thought it was too.
Thinking.
I thought it was gonna be a billion Palpatines. Like that's fucking funny.
That's funny.
That's like
it's just Palpatine's going, yeah, let's go, Palpatine.
And he's like, no, but just imagine him being like, I want to be the Sith, and they're like, yeah. And
hey,
it's just a bunch of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I feel like if he cloned
Orgies of Palpatine.
I mean, hey, they got a
unlimited power.
unlimited jizzer.
Okay, so your number 4
My
was
number 4 was what?
Revenge of the Sith.
No, what?
Oh,
No, my number 4 was a movie I haven't even spoken about much yet.
Oh,
Return of the Jedi.
oh yes, go ahead.
The third act of that is also awesome.
Yes.
The stuff with Palpatine, Darth Vader, and Luke, him trying to get him to fully betray his own beliefs so he can
I love
murder his
that
father.
line.
Which one?
The Luke says like, "I'm a Jedi, like my father before me."
Oh yeah.
It's
And then Darth Vader looks around. He's like, "Who the fuck is he talking about?"
Oh, I love that line so much.
Yeah. No, that movie is great. I know that some people have their moderate kind of like tiny issues with it.
Yeah.
I don't know because I just don't have them. I don't. The stuff with Jabba, the palace, the stuff on the barge, that that entire opening action scene's like an hour. It's like an hour of the movie.
I did not know that.
But it's done so well.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that kind of dies down a little bit is whenever they go to Endor, and they have the Endor what?
Indoor.
Andor what? Andor what? But
And/or what?
Andor what?
Can you put that in a sentence? And/or?
Yeah, would you rather have... Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Well, let me come with something.
Okay.
You can, though.
Okay, then use it.
Ask me, would you rather have this and... Or what? Yeah, like that. But you would have to interrupt somebody midway through.
Okay.
And?
Wait, what? You can't say and, or, and then whatever else? You have to answer, or like you have to like put a question to it?
Kinda.
Okay.
Maybe I'm sure there's a way we could figure out how to structure this.
All right, next one.
Yeah. No, but I love this movie.
Okay.
And I love... this is the one that drives home the thing that he's been setting up the entire time. Like, yes, like this is another one of the stories George Lucas wanted to tell.
Yeah.
The stuff with the son and father, and the fact that they even get to talk before they actually fight each other. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. I also love that the Ewoks are included in some of this stuff. I think it's funny that they make C-3PO like their god. But
we forgot to talk about a lot about C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah.
They're in like literally everything and anything.
What's funny is I kind of just accept that. Like, I don't... even view it as fan service very much. I'm like, well, I mean, they're in all of them, so
Yeah.
like, that's something that I haven't even really ever
Thought about.
yeah,
Yeah.
because A New Hope does open on just them for a long while. It follows them around before you even get to the main character of the franchise, which is kind of daring when you think about it because they're not the main characters at all.
Yeah.
But no, I
I do love the fact too where some of the droids like you don't understand, like the characters have to like make it where you can understand them. It's like, yes, R2, like R2, that's not funny. Don't say that again.
It's some of the stuff that R2. I love that you get to fill in yourself there, and it would suck if they ever did something like here's
subtitles?
what they were saying. And, yeah, I just don't like that much. That idea. I know that the one from Rebels Chopper, people are like convinced they know what he's saying.
Rebels Chopper?
Yeah, the droid from Star Wars Rebels.
No, I haven't seen Rebels.
Oh, his name is Chopper.
Oh, okay.
And in Ahsoka, it does. I was like, oh, I get it, because I also felt that way. I'm like, I feel like I know what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
But no, I love Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
A lot. And Jabba's also got tongue game. You seen how long that thing is?
All right. My number 3. What's your number 3? What is it? Don't do it.
Star Wars Revenge of the Sith.
Damn.
I fucking love this movie.
Damn.
It has everything I go to these movies for. It is Shakespearean and it is tragic. And people talk about some of the issues with the dialogue in the first two. I don't have that here. I think that even the lines that people don't love, whenever she's like, it's only because I'm so in love. I don't know, man. I like it. I know exactly what he's going for.
You're just the romantic type.
Yeah, no.
You're a lover boy.
Yeah.
Certified lover boy. Like
no,
Drake.
no.
And
no,
I'm Kendrick.
I don't want to be Drake.
Well, damn.
What do you think of that beef going on right now?
I mean, I stopped eating pork, so
That's not.
I'm all for beef right now.
Yeah. Beef? Like meat? Earlier you were like, I had 3 billion pounds of
I literally
steak.
had 1.5 pounds of meat.
No, you said 3 billion.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's my first time ever paying attention to the lyrics of of like rap songs.
Well, because you already know these artists too, right?
Yeah,
like,
so
well, not personally, but
yeah, I mean I know Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're tight.
Oh yeah, we saw each other.
I dabbed him up.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Get away from me."
And no, he was like swimming pool. Drank.
Po up.
Drink.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I
like, thank you, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, it's my first time ever just paying attention to like lyrics and going like, oh, what does this mean? What does he mean by this verse? And then looking it up, I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah, they're saying some of the meanest shit to each other
Yeah, it's
ever.
insane.
I don't think you ever come for Kendrick Lamar though on anything.
Dude, I'm sorry, like even if Drake has like the most listens and like streams and all that and has made the most money, at the end of the day, what comes down to it for me is the talent, and Kendrick has it more than Drake does.
A lot more, yeah.
And
I have listened to every single thing both of them have ever made. Kendrick Lamar, 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've listened to every song. While we're recording this, like one just came out that I haven't gotten to listen to yet.
Oh, the newest one that it's like like Graham or something?
No, there's one even after that came out. Like
that
today.
Drake did?
No, that Kendrick Lamar did.
Oh, what was it? What's it called?
What is it called? I just know that what he did was it's a picture of Drake's mansion, and then it has like a pedophile tracker app thing on it.
Oh, dang.
And it's like all the people that are in the mansion and how many like alerts are on. I was like, that is insane.
Wow.
But the Meet the Grams thing, that is one of the meanest songs I've ever heard, and it is insane. I was just like, this is
But like
insane.
the thing is, like, Drake hasn't said anything where it's like past the fact of like physical stuff too.
Yeah.
Towards Kendrick, or Kendrick's like saying like factual things too.
I saw a tweet that I agreed with that was like, this feels like a real rap battle, but where if they're both on stage, Drake keeps turning his head to the audience to get approval from everybody, while Kendrick Lamar is just fully like, no, I believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he does get really manic on his songs, especially when he has like a point to prove. But just like Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah, it's the exact same way. So
who would be who in that situation?
I mean, dude, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole Star Wars series, I think that's Obi-Wan Kenobi and then Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Have probably been like the two main characters that have been done right the entirety of just Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Their relationship in this is great. Yes. I bet even like some of the first hour of this movie.
Yes.
Like whenever they're rescuing Palpatine.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff's really funny. Like, and the jokes actually work this time around. Where they're like the banter between the both of them. You're like, these two are friends, and they've definitely been working together for a while. You can piece that together even without having seen the Clone Wars.
I agree. Yes.
And the lightsaber fights are really, really choreographed in this. But to, like, for me, an excellent degree, I think that coordination and that choreography, it makes sense because it's balletic and it is sort of like not just combat, but it feels kind of like this sort of interpretive thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Where it's not just in terms of fighting to kill each other. There's this kind of grace about it because there is this sort of knight culture that they have in the prequels that I really like, that they establish. But the second half of this movie is, really think about it this way. If the prequels had come out and it was just the prequels, these are the only things you'd ever seen, this ending the way that it does
is insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it is really sad. It's really interesting just how well it works.
It's quotable.
It is incredibly quotable.
Do you know about Darth
Plagueis?
Plagueis?
The Wise.
Wise.
And then he goes, what does he say? He's like, how can you learn this power? Yeah. Something like that. I just know he goes, not from a Jedi. And
you're like, oh, what?
Yeah. And then he's like, you're the Sith guy.
You're the Sith.
It's so good. And
how did the Jedi Council figure out that it was Palpatine?
Because he just tells Anakin. He's like, that's the one thing in this movie. Like, for me, is this movie flawless? Not necessarily, but you know how we talk about how like a movie can just operate so well that you disregard that. Mm-hmm. The one thing in this movie that I think is kind of like, okay, is whenever Palpatine just kind of says something and Anakin looks at him and he's like, you're the Sith. And then he's just like, now Anakin. And he's like, no. And then he like walks off and then he tells them. Yeah. And then that fight happens with Mace Windu and him before he like throws him out the window. Yeah. But the Order 66 stuff, oh my god, it's amazing.
I remember being sad at Jedis that I don't even know during that time.
Like,
I was like, who is this?
Kit Fisto.
Why? Oh, of course, that's the only way you remember. Fisto.
Plo Koon. Plo Koon? Ploon. That's his name. The guy with like the Yeah,
I know.
And the one lady that, what's her name? The one that's green.
Oh yeah, and no other descriptions.
Well, I just saw this movie, so I like. Well, she has the tentacles on her head.
Yeah, no other description.
No, that's it.
Okay. No two others.
What the hell are you talking about?
Okay. Keep smiling, boy.
I love Commander Cody, and what is Rex is never only in the. That's so weird. Oh, he's in Ahsoka. That's why.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Because I was like, why do I remember? But that's why.
Yeah.
But I love this. Chewbacca being in this is also cool.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is another one of those like came out in an integral time for me. I remember like habitually watching the promo that was on Cartoon Network for it at the time.
There was a promo?
Yeah.
Cartoon Network?
Does it spoil the entire movie? It sure does, but it's...
Oh, man. It's funny.
But, like, at the time, that didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I remember the moment they were showing was whenever Yoda was fighting him in that like, Senate meeting area. That stuff still works so well. The music... that song I'm talking about is called Battle of the Heroes. Mm-hmm. I agree with this one take I saw. The music really does start out very Star Warsy and then transitions into this more chaotic, more deliberate and darker themes. Like the more and more it goes on, the more it has this sort of louder and more aggressive and abrasive sound. Mm-hmm. And then it culminates in really my favorite fight in this series with Anakin and Obi-Wan, because for me, fights aren't just about that. They're about what they represent. Mm-hmm. And I think my favorite trope ever is the not enemies to lovers, but the like
Lovers to enemies.
the best friend to
Sorry, I
like
can't. Enemies to lovers.
like we love each other. The fall of hero and then the best friend becoming like that's your enemy.
Yes.
That stuff operates on such a level. Combining those two.
Literally us.
Is that what's gonna happen on this show? There's gonna be one day whenever like we just disagree on a movie so heavily.
Because something was between us.
And yeah, and then you're like, you were the chosen one. That whole monologue's amazing.
I hate you.
It's so good, man.
I can't be Anakin, dude. I gotta be Kenobi.
Would I be Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I mean, you saved the world.
Oh, that's true. He does restore balance to the Force.
Who do you think was the chosen one the entire time? Do you think it was Luke or do you think it was Anakin?
It is Anakin because at the end of the day, it's him that does restore balance to the Force at the end of it.
All right, cool.
He just brings him back to the light side at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
This one, I know some of the issues people have with it. I can't fault them for having it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I adore everything about this movie. And the Battle of the Heroes, that song, everything about this movie like works for me. The lightsaber fights, General Grievous kicks ass. I love him. That design is incredible. My dad the other day was like, how come he like coughs a lot? And if he's like a robot, and I was like, well, he doesn't matter, because it's hard to explain.
Respirator.
But people also like, how come he has like coughing lung whenever like cigarette lung?
Oh my God.
I also love the design for him. I love the designs for also the droids. I actually think are utilized well in this one. The droidicas are cool.
Oh, yes.
Those guys that like General Grievous hangs out with that have like the staffs are cool.
Even seeing General Grievous is great too.
I love him. Yeah, he's one of the coolest villains, and I like that I do sort of wish that they would have done more with Count Dooku, but I like that they use him for how they use him at the beginning of this movie.
Yes, I agree. I mean, of course, like in the Clone Wars, they use more of Dooku and then General Grievous as well. So
one of my favorite moments in Revenge of the Sith, and it is quiet, and it's actually really kind of disturbing, is this scene. It kind of makes it feel like the movie's halting itself so it can prove this to you. Anakin is sitting in a room, and he like stares across the entire city directly at Padme.
Yeah.
And they can feel that from each other. And there's just this ominous quiet while they look back at each other, and that's amazing. It's why I think that like I do think George Lucas, this is the story. Like this is the one he wants to tell, and you can feel that from everything that happens in this. I love it. I love it a lot. There's a reason why it's in my top 3. And have you said your number 3 yet?
No, you wasted my entire time.
I'm sorry. I love Revenge of the Sith a lot.
Mine...
What is your number 3?
Sorry, I'm sick.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I'm so scared. I don't care. I love The Last Jedi. I think it's one of the most beautiful Star Wars movies.
Yeah. That
I've seen. I love Rian Johnson. I've seen all of his movies. I haven't seen that show that he made. The detective one.
Wait. Why am I blanking right now? Oh,
Perhaps
wait, it's good. It's so good. I love that show.
I don't remember what it's called.
With Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think you and I were like one of the few people, or at least like it's hard to find other people who actually like love this movie too, or even
it's
like
so
enjoy
weird
it.
Because
but
on Rotten Tomatoes it's at like 95% on.
Yeah, but like
there.
when you talk to other people about it, too, but especially Star Wars fans, they get really upset with it, or they're just mad.
This movie in particular, for sure.
But it's just because how they handled one character of Luke.
One of the best arcs in these movies.
But it makes sense. Like I don't know. It's like I guess I see Luke the way that Rian Johnson sees Luke too.
Yeah.
In this, because when Luke starts comparing things from the past that has happened over and over again, he sees there it's like history keeps repeating itself. Yeah. Over and over again, and he wanted to do something different, and which is him just letting the Jedi end. Yeah. Because every time there's more and more Jedi, someone gets corrupted, and it just keeps the cycle going over and over again. Yeah. And so I loved what they did with Luke. It just made sense with his character because it actually shows more of his intelligence
Yeah.
and his faith being broken because of it.
Because of his own, like, there was someone else that he taught. And
Yes.
it's like that rhythm that they talk about in this franchise that continues to keep happening.
Yes.
Is there anything else? I don't want to interrupt you. So
No. I mean, you can keep going now. If
Okay.
You want. I know you feel like you have things to say about it.
Well, about Last Jedi?
Yeah.
I do want to save some of them because it's not here yet.
Okay.
But it is so weird. The people that we talked about The Last Jedi with,
Yeah.
people get mad about this movie. They get angry, and they're like,
they talk about Leia with the Force.
Yeah.
And I guess people talk about that scene where it's like her flying.
I like it. I do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think. I don't know. I'm like, the Force can be utilized in many ways too, but. And then and people getting upset too, I guess, if Luke being a, what's it called? Or whatever, he was like, not really there, but he was there.
Oh, that whole, like, but he is, though. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I think for me, like, things can happen, or like, in a fantasy world, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And you can add things, put new twists to it, but as long as it can be impactful to the story, then it works. And at least for me, it worked. And so seeing every it's like Leia with the Force, like, because beforehand, like, you rarely got glimpses of it whatsoever, or if nothing, right? And so the fact that we actually got to see it for the first time, and then I remember in Rise of Skywalker they showed like that scene of Luke and Leia literally like dueling with one another.
Oh, right, like they were practicing.
Yeah, practicing.
Yeah.
And so you're like, you got more of it. And I remember like, oh, that's kind of cool to see. But I mean, it's in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know. I just remember I loved everything about it. I love Kylo Ren in this movie. I love the relationship between Rey and Kylo.
Yeah, actually in this one.
Yes, this one was great. And this is where I'm like, oh my god, I can see a vision where these two like coming together to form something different later on. But of course, getting Rise of Skywalker, it's just one of those letdown things.
Yeah,
I can't.
The first two have so much goodwill behind them, and then like the third one happens, and it's just kind of like, for us at least, because I know that some people, like, their feelings about Last Jedi. We are not those people.
Yeah, I love Last Jedi.
My number 2 is The Empire Strikes Back. And
what?
Don't get me wrong.
Wait, my number 2 is A New Hope.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to?
The one that started it all.
Do you want to say why really quick?
Yeah, because the one that started it all.
That's the only reason why.
Yeah, just like Iron Man.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I think the reason why I hold this one close and really high is just because I do remember constantly putting this movie first in my VHS.
Yeah.
Or like just in my VHS player all the time. And I love what you talked about, where it's just like the hero's journey, and you just see that in a lot of movies nowadays. And I think this movie itself portrays it so well and confidently.
Yeah.
And I love the banter between all the characters. Everyone seems... It's just something you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just remember loving the music and like the world that they created for it. And so I have that movie just as my number 2.
No, this one boils down that plot structure to a T. It's like the one that you want people to see to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's based off of Akira Kurosawa stuff, and it's like referencing a bunch of older movies. It's still like referential to other things, but
what about that one or people say, is that, I know it didn't originate from Star Wars, that one sound where it's like whenever that stormtrooper like falls.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Do you mean whenever he like hits his head? Or?
No. The other one where he makes it sounds like.
Oh, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Where's that?
I actually
what movie from?
Don't know where it's originally used from, but these and the Lord of the Rings movies use it every single time.
Yes.
In every single one.
Yeah, I just remember it from that one specifically. Yeah. So.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
But Empire Strikes Back is one of the best movies ever made. Of course it is. It's one of the ones that people like reference for, this is the Empire Strikes Back of this.
That's my number 1.
Yeah?
Yeah. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I love Empire Strikes Back.
The ending is amazing. It is a. I remember this is one of the ones where we argued about twist and like
Oh,
what
that is
twists
true.
are. It's a twist. It's,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
you're
know.
still the same about that.
I don't know, man.
It's a twist because it's like previous information that you've not known before. Why would it be number one on like the all-time twist of like ever?
I guess when I think of twist, I think of it where it's like not information being hidden from you,
Yeah.
but more so where I guess if all the information has been out there and you
Yeah.
expect the character to do what like the thing that they're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't, that's the twist.
I think that's just character motive.
They just change their character motive.
What about Argyle?
Stop! What the heck?
Argyle has twists.
Whatever. I still love the Empire Strikes Back. I don't care, twist or not.
I do too.
It's
And
a
it
twist.
has,
I don't care.
it has like some
Don't change
really
my
cool.
mind.
It has some really cool stuff in it. The Hoth stuff.
Yes.
The
I love how they focus more on the Empire.
yeah. Oh, Darth Vader is in this movie quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes.
So cool. I love the.
Boba Fett.
He's like briefly in this. How come he's the one? There's like a billion bounty hunters he
Yeah,
hires, and
that's
then
right.
that's the one that everybody's like, "Who's that guy?"
Remember Bosk?
I do remember Bosk
Oh,
actually.
Bosk.
That's the ugly ass guy, isn't it? That's the.
Whoa, what?
I
He
sent.
wasn't mewing, that's why.
Oh yeah, they gotta get on their Mog streak, Erwin.
That's right.
What about IG-88? That's that one droid with like the weird head, the
Master BB-8.
Master BB-8.
I can't get over that, man.
Go to a galaxy far, far away. But I guess then let's get into my number one. And this, I think it's funny that you said that you were like, oh no, I'm scared to say this. I have confidently like said this for a long time, but then we're putting this out there into the world.
Again.
My favorite Star Wars movie is in fact Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie like 6 times in theaters.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it a lot. It is the best shot one to me.
Yeah.
I believe it's Stevie Edlin. Ryan Johnson, everything he does works for me. Brick.
Dude, that one shot
Looper.
with the... or what? I forgot her name. Laura Dern's character.
The other thing people complain about, the ship.
Yes.
So that is one of the most effective uses of like that kind of action in these movies. It breaks the sound barrier and like everything goes quiet.
Yes.
The music in this is also amazing. The opening with Kelly Marie Tran, like I think it's her sister that she loses at the beginning of this, and the bombs like going off
Yes.
while they're in the middle of that fight, and then everything with Kylo Ren, because Kylo Ren is my favorite
Yes.
character. The fact that he like goes out there and attempts to kill his mother. I just love family drama, but everything with him in this,
Yes.
and his connection with Rey. I agree with you.
He doesn't
It's-
even shoot.
Oh wait, what?
No, it was somebody
Oh,
else.
yeah.
It was like the other troopers. I remember he was about to,
Yeah.
but then he like stops.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, the whole thing about him like smashing his helmet because he
yes.
no longer wants to be like Darth Vader, and then of course they fucking put it back together in the next one. But it's representative of that and his inner conflict, and I love his kind of like. People say that he's too bratty, but that's exactly how Anakin is. He's the
Yes.
exact same.
Same way.
And that sort of issue of repeating.
Dude, whenever he was going against Snoke.
Oh yeah.
And
That okay, so
oh my gosh.
I said that the other thing was like my favorite
Yes.
fight scene. This is like the second best one.
Yeah.
Because the way that fight is phenomenal.
Oh,
The
yes.
thing with the Praetorian guards and
Yes.
like the stuff with Snoke and Andy Serkis. I forget he is that character.
Yes.
But that is so effective in the middle of this movie because you're like, this is the new Palpatine of the series. And the
Yeah.
fact that he dies halfway through,
Yes.
that is so cool. That is, I like the thing that they were setting up to me was that it was going to be the conflict of two people on opposite sides of the Force and be Kylo Ren and Rey.
Well, because they're both confused on what path they wanted to choose.
Yeah.
And the fact that Kylo was ready to be like, let's drop both
Yeah.
and just follow our own path.
Mm.
And it's just so, oh my god. Remember even the trailer I loved so
Yeah.
much.
No, I all of this stuff about like leaving the past behind. That's the
Yes.
point of this movie. Yoda comes back and even says that. He
Yes.
says like what this movie's about.
Yes.
He's like, we are what they grow beyond.
Mhm.
And the stuff in the third act. The battle on Crate is so cool, and the usage of red while they're trailing to make it even more visually interesting. I think everything about this movie, all of that works. I love the central other point is that you don't have to come from something to make yourself worth something.
Yes.
Even though the next one fucking like
it's just then Rise of Skywalker just tramples it worse.
Yeah.
With the other ones,
but that's because everyone does not feel the way about this movie that we feel about it.
Yeah.
I think it all works so well. The whole thing about like the Jedi need to end and the stuff with Luke.
Yes.
This is an incredible character arc. He goes through a similar one to the one in Logan, but people do accept the one in Logan. I'm not really quite sure why in comparison.
Yeah.
But wait, this is the one that has the I'm not going to do the way that thing that we used to say all the time. This is not going to go the way that you think it's going to go.
That's not what he says.
It's not going to go the way you think. Yeah. And then they have those hilarious little fish ladies that Luke hangs out with.
They're funny.
I love this movie so much. I love porgs.
Porgs are great.
Yeah.
I think what really stands out with that movie is the relationship between Kylo and Rey.
Yeah.
Like that's the strong point, I would say. And then it would be Luke, like seeing Luke and like him losing his faith. Not even with the Jedi, but like just the entirety of like the Force itself.
No, because this also references Kurosawa in a really cool way because they bring back the Rashomon format where you are told the same story from a few different characters, and each time it's different because Kylo Ren tells a story and it comes off like Luke wants to kill him.
Yes.
And then his version of the story. That is great referential writing to do that and still sort of keep that energy that the originals have.
Yes.
Whenever people say that Rian Johnson doesn't respect Luke or Star Wars, I think out of J.J. Abrams and him, to me, he seems like the bigger fan because he's telling a story. He wants to tell a story that uses Luke and gives him a full arc that I love, and I'm sorry that he's not the way he is in the books, where he can just tank like a Death Star practically.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it's like that's visually cool to see.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I don't know. It's not as impactful as seeing somebody where literally just learning about the Force and like using it just to like take. Because like he already did.
Yeah.
He basically did the impossible, which is like to end the Empire when in the very beginning in the original trilogy. And so if you just want to see him continue on and just trying to be like that big, like strong Jedi that everyone says that he is, which I mean, don't get me wrong, I still believe that he is. But this shows it in a different light where you don't need to showcase violence or any type of action to have your story to be impactful.
It's so weird that people think that way whenever like the scene in A New Hope that proves this is whenever they're talking about how like if you strike me down, I will grow stronger than I've ever been before.
Yes. Hey, that's why Palpatine came back.
Because he was stronger. Struck down?
Yeah.
He like just keeps dying and coming back. He was thrown off of like a ledge. And then just showed back up somewhere.
I don't know why they brought him
because
back.
people said he had a plan that he cloned himself somewhere. That's so fucking dumb. Whatever. I still think that it'd be. I'd give that movie an additional star if that whole like scene where it was his followers was just him.
I really thought it was.
And that's what I thought too. Like at least play into that. Like he's master manipulator, whatever. But I love that movie so much, and it's everything you said that works for me as well. All of that stuff, the like just the loss of the faith, but then the regaining of it, but also the whole like strong Luke Skywalker does happen in this movie.
Yes.
Like he takes on that shot that's insane with every single like sort of vehicle lined up, and then it's him staring back at them.
That's
and
strong. I don't
yeah.
understand what people mean.
And then that fight he has with Kylo Ren, and then he has the wink at the end.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
It's so cool.
It just goes to show that like Luke doesn't need to be there to showcase like he's capable of defeating anyone that's in his way, but that's not what he wants to do, because that's what the Jedi has done before many times. And where did that lead them? Back to the same
And that's
position
the whole
again.
point, is that they're like, their ego was their downfall. The
Yes.
movies say it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I do want more from the Jedi Master era.
Yes.
I don't know if they'll do it again, but I also do kind of want them to leave that behind, because there are other stories to tell here.
Yes.
And are there any other thoughts you have on Last Jedi?
No, I mean,
No?
I agree with you.
That's our ranked list, I believe.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and move on to the TV shows. But before we do, I want to ask you, have you played the games? Not Force Unleashed or anything.
I played The Force Unleashed, but not.
Did you really?
Yeah, I haven't played any of the Jedi Survivor ones.
That's the one I'm asking about.
No.
I've played the Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I know people like the first one a lot more.
Oh, okay.
And that Star Killer is like way too overpowered.
Oh.
You know, people talk about like Luke should be like this. Like,
yeah.
It sounds like whatever that guy keeps doing in those.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny whenever people, those aren't canon, I don't think.
I don't know. I hate this whole what's canon, what isn't canon type of thing.
And this is the one that like does that a lot of
Yeah.
Star Wars. But I have only played Jedi Survivor is the second one. The first one's called Fallen Order. It's a great game.
Oh, okay.
I love the story. I love Cal Kestis. He's really cool.
Yeah.
It's another like all the stuff that they introduced, that's sort of the stuff that they also mentioned in Disney. I don't know if I'd want him in any of the movies. He looks exactly like how he does in real life. So
Yeah,
if they were to ever do that, then
Yeah.
I would just hope it's not just him showing up to be like, "Hi guys, I am Cal Kestis."
I bet if it will be that.
But I hate that.
Yeah,
And
I
because
mean-
he's an interesting character to me.
Okay.
Even though you're technically him, because it's not like, you know, that whole thing where video game characters are the main characters, but you're sort of putting your own emotions into it.
Yeah.
I love the first one, and I haven't played the second one yet.
Yeah.
But fully transitioning into the shows, we have touched on this on here before, but I want to ask you, because you have way more to say on this than I do, is Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated show. What do you think of it, and have you seen Rebels and The Bad Batch?
I haven't seen Rebels nor The Bad Batch. I think I might watch Rebels just because I hear there's more scenes with Darth Maul. I say
Yeah.
that because Clone Wars, it was hard for me to get through the first 2 seasons,
Yeah.
but but there were some episodes that were good, but overall the first 2 seasons they were really slow.
Yeah.
And it's because like a lot of times they focused on like the clones themselves or other Jedis that weren't, of course, like the main ones that they showcased later on in the seasons. But after, I think it's like season 3, and I haven't seen the last 2 seasons, like 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But overall, like the season 3 to season 5 were amazing. And it's because like they introduced, I'm pretty sure, like the Darth Maul.
Oh, yeah. No, I do know about that.
Yeah, they introduced Darth Maul again, and after that, I was just intrigued. I was like, oh my god, I want to see more. I want to see more, and especially the relationship between Darth Maul and Kenobi in that show is amazing. And seeing more of Anakin and like his apprentice Ahsoka. I haven't seen the show Ahsoka.
Okay.
You can talk about that if you want.
Ahsoka. I'm going to wait on it because it's sort of like on my...
I didn't really like Ahsoka at first, but
a lot of people did not.
Yeah,
whenever she's first
she
introduced.
definitely gets better along the like further on in the show.
Yeah.
Just because she definitely has an arc where it's like a child and then her becoming an adult, and you see that, and it works very well.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen.
So I'm not able to comment all that much on this. I just know that it got good whenever I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
And that's not my own fault, really. I mean, it is my own fault, but that's like just because I was watching it with somebody I was living with at the time, and now we're not, and I like just never got back to it. But the Star Wars: The Clone Wars I love was the one that came out in 2003 that was made by the guy who did Samurai Jack.
Oh,
it was really good, and that style is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I love some of the action in it is some stuff that has never happened in any of the movies though, but it's still really well done. And I love that sort of interpretation of Star Wars. I do kind of wish that they let some other people bring their ideas to the table.
Oh, what was that one show that Disney
Yeah.
released? That like different stories.
Visions. Yeah.
I haven't seen the second season.
Neither have I.
I've seen the first season of it. I
Mhm.
really like that. I like that idea that you said.
I really liked the different stuff that they did with that for sure.
Mhm.
I have not seen season 2. No one has, like, I feel, because I haven't heard anyone talk about it.
I haven't seen Tales of the Jedi. I hear that one's pretty cool.
Oh, the one that has a season 2 right now.
Yeah.
They keep just making stuff that I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I need to like you either need to calm down or I need to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
But keeping it with the live action ones, there's not much more I could add to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
We've reviewed it before and it's still good. I wish it were great, but it's good.
I wish Kenobi was a movie more than a show.
Yeah, and that's what originally what it was supposed to be. I would like to comment on this, but this is more a Mandalorian season 3 thing. Stop utilizing the volume as much as you do, because it makes everything feel not as real as it could be. And then
You said volume?
the volume,
What do you mean?
you know that thing, the thing that they like use to film sets and stuff that they like used on the Batman and Thor, Love and Thunder, and it's just, since it's so contained, it's this kind of like green screen, but not green screen, wherever they project the environment. So if it's lit poorly, then it doesn't look great. And some people's issue with Obi-Wan Kenobi the show
Yes.
was that you could feel the sort of like seams in the set because they're not moving around as much as they should be.
Okay.
And
like
I felt that-
like the actors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I felt that was I was like, how come the choreography, because the first time they fight, Darth Vader and
Okay.
Obi-Wan,
Yes.
does not feel anywhere near as good as it should be, because we've seen those two actors
Yes.
choreographed as well as they are.
Oh, okay.
So you feeling that, you're like, what's the restraint here?
Uh-huh.
Because I know that these two know how to do this. It hasn't been that long since Revenge of the Sith. I mean,
Yeah.
15 years, I guess it's a while, but still.
That's long, dude.
Yeah. But I still feel like they're very much not like super old.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen did what before that? Little Italy.
Yeah.
And the pizza, like, do you know which movie I'm talking about?
No.
Really?
Absolutely not.
It's this weird ass movie where it's Little Italy and it's with Emma Roberts and Hayden Christensen, and they run pizza shops opposite of each other,
Okay.
and they're competing. It's like a
Oh, that's funny. That sounds
it's
funny.
awful.
Oh, damn. What
But
the heck?
it's one of those like bad movies we should have watched together because
Oh.
it is hilariously bad, and the comedy doesn't work at all, and everybody's like, Hayden Christensen's so sexy, and they keep like trying to like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah, I mean,
but-
my opinions on Kenobi haven't really changed, to be honest.
Me neither. I haven't gone back to watch it again, but also,
I think I've probably seen the scene of them fighting
yeah.
more than the actual, like, I care to see.
Let's talk about the best Star Wars thing ever, to me,
Last Jedi.
Andor.
Andor.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I love it so much. It's so well written. It is the most well written thing that they've ever done.
I don't know. I just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
That it was like that type of thing. I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's one of the best things they've done.
Do you remember when I talked to you about this, that the first 3 episodes are the way they are?
Yes.
What was your experience like watching this?
After watching the first episode, I was like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the 3rd episode, like you said, I was like, okay, I gotta just keep watching and hopefully it picks up. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until Andor finally meets one of that's Scars.
Yeah, in episode 3.
Yeah, episode
Yeah.
3. He's like, come with me.
Yeah.
And so that's when it started to pick up. And then after that, I was just hooked.
Yeah.
And I don't. Every character they introduced, I was like, what's their purpose? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I was just intrigued, especially by the like. In that world, it felt so much more, even though they were only in certain sets the entire time.
No, that's why it felt so expansive, even though it was small.
Yeah, so like self-contained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that show is politically like on the pulse in terms of they have stuff to say about the Empire
Yes.
in it. And the crazy thing that happens in that show is that like the reason why he's sent to that jail in the first place isn't even because of the heist that they just pulled, which is one of the best parts of the show.
Yes.
It was quite simply just because they like found him and he looked suspicious. I think
He
was
just
part
looked,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He says like you were walking by and you looked, you looked suspicious. That's
Yeah.
what they literally said that.
And it ramps up each of the arcs over and over. The prison thing with Andy Serkis
Yes.
is insane.
Oh my gosh, the moment when he says like it's like there's 12 of them.
Yeah, and then it ends.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then the No Way Out speech. Every
can't
speech.
swim?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh man.
That was so sad. I
Yeah.
felt it. I was like, what?
Every speech in this, there's one by Stellan Skarsgård where
Yeah.
he's like, "I give my life for a light I can't ever see," or something like that. It's insane. I can only hope that season 2 doesn't fall victim to like has to be more Star Warsy,
Yeah.
because watching this really feels like, how did this get made?
Yeah.
How come this feels like this? I feel it feels so much different, so much.
I'm
like,
trying to compare it to like another show, but this lives in a Star Wars world.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a show that I've seen.
No, and this one is so tense. I love the scale they kept for Rogue One in this. You really feel like these are people that are part of a rebellion, and they have nothing to do with Jedi at all.
Yes.
This is just like, it's so effective, and the funniest thing is Tony Gilroy hates Star Wars.
I mean, I can imagine because wasn't it, you said
Yeah.
like he was supposed to direct Rogue One,
Oh yeah,
but because of
and then whatever
everything else
happened.
happens. Yeah.
But then they made this,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it so much. I think Diego Luna is a great lead. He adds this kind of initial sort of darker layer to a protagonist, which is why he is super flawed. And I love everything about this show, and it works perfectly for me. Anything else that you would think about it?
I think what stood out to me with Andor was just not just like the lead characters, but the side characters. Like even like
Yeah.
that team that they had
Oh
on
yeah,
that planet.
the guy from the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved all of them, and so of course seeing them all die was like, what the heck? What just happened? Like I started to care about them, and then it's just gone. But I guess it goes to show like the scale, even something so small that they're trying to achieve, that it's still dangerous no matter what
Yeah.
could happen. So
Well, that's because like they risk themselves.
yeah,
And I remember seeing the trailer for Andor initially and being like, "This looks different from everything else," but I didn't know different and how. But I have, after that, written on there, Star Wars: The Holiday Special. You've seen it, right?
yeah, I've seen it.
It is. If we're gonna talk about anything that's actually terrible here, it's that.
And nobody
It's-
talks about it. They talk about it in
yeah.
a fun light, and I'm like, no, this is bad.
I remember. No, we sat down and watched it. It's not like funny bad.
No,
it is
it's just
bad, bad.
It's funny
And-
bad when other people are talking about it
Yeah.
and they're making it funny, but it's
But
just
what we
bad.
did was we sat down and we watched it.
And we're like, this is bad.
Yeah, and then even the people part that everybody's like, "Don't worry, the animated part's good too." Like the good part of it, no,
No,
it's all
none of it was good.
horrible.
Yeah.
And the Life Day stuff, that's the one whenever Chewbacca's dad is watching porn. I think
Oh,
that does happen. That does
I-
happen in
yeah.
that. And then they're watching this. The person making the Thanksgiving whatever in
The mom?
someone's watching something, and then it's so weird, and then there's like a 15-minute segment where a guy working in the cantina has like a volcano head, and he's like falling in love with someone else.
I don't. It's been so long.
It's so fucking
Man.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have a long song that Carrie Fisher sings at the end.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Chewbacca, I don't know. I have no idea what's happening in any of that. Nobody seems like they want to be there, and you don't want to be watching it.
I agree.
But if you if your curiosity gets the best of you, I guess watch it if you're a completionist.
Watch it with friends though.
Yeah.
It's bearable that way.
Something we never reviewed on here is season 3 of The Mandalorian,
Bro, listen, I don't want to talk
And-
about it, dude.
because I want to talk about The Mandalorian though.
All right.
Season
I
1,
mean, they're gonna make a movie.
which I am excited for. I'm really excited
I
for
don't know, we'll
that.
see. Is it John Favreau?
Yeah.
Okay.
But John Favreau is also behind season 3 of the. Well, look, man, I like Dave Filoni,
Mm-hmm.
but don't put him in charge of like storytelling.
What are your thoughts
stuff.
on Ahsoka?
Well, hang on. You can't avoid season 3 of The Mandalorian.
I don't want to.
Do you remember? Okay, seasons 1 and 2. What do you think of them?
I think I loved it. From what I remember, and then I loved the 2 episodes in Boba Fett.
That are The Mandalorian.
Yes, I remember season 3 being so disappointing because it feels like it ended halfway through or something. Was it like halfway through or like the first 2 episodes that it ended?
I was fully convinced that they must have taken the season 3 plot and shoved it into Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Because the pacing is weird as hell.
Yes.
And it feels like they're wrapping up the show in season 3, but they throw a billion plot points out at the end of it.
Yes.
I remember calling you and saying, I don't want to finish The Mandalorian season 3 because it might be the first season of the show that I don't like. And that's exactly what happened. I did finish it.
Yeah.
It has some good ideas at the end, but it is underwhelming. And it's sad that that happens. And The Mandalorian feels like it shifts more into Bo-Katan, which is fine. I like her. Mm-hmm. But that character and his relationship with Grogu is entirely a betrayal of what happens at the end of season 2.
Yes.
Of it. Because of the stuff that happens with Boba Fett. Yes, it's awesome to see them reunite. It is, like, really gratifying. But I think that I think they moved that out of season 3 and into that. It feels that way. Because there is no emotional arc for anybody at the end of season 3 of that show.
I think just to make that movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
But, like, I can imagine maybe something with Grogu where the movie, like, could work with something, like, having to do with him. And
I think leaving Grogu and putting Grogu away would
but
have been
that
better.
was supposed to be the emotional arc, is that, like, he finally grew into that and he loved him. And season 2 is really sad at the end of it. But, like, it's a bittersweet type of sad.
Yes.
But then they kind of betray their own plot point by making him, like, come back in season 3. And the first couple episodes are really good. But then I do really, really love the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian a lot still.
Me too.
Yeah. But season 3 is just so... And I think people...
I think I love the first season more, though, than the second one. I think just because the second one... Don't get me wrong, I loved when Luke showed up.
Yeah.
But that's when it started to feel like it became more of Skywalker, which is, like, why I'm like... why do they keep bringing back... Because even in Boba Fett, they brought back Skywalker again.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, they keep trying to connect it back and back.
And there's just no reason to.
Yeah.
But season 2 is, I think, still my favorite. But also it has that moment with Bill Burr in that one episode.
Oh, yeah, that was a great one.
That's like the best episode of that show.
About that. I'm not gonna lie. I still love both. Don't mind.
Yeah. No, I mean, season 1 and 2 I grouped together, and then season 3 is somewhere else.
I think it's a whole show. So
yeah. But it sucks how much that weighs it down. And then also bringing back Giancarlo Esposito to do kind of nothing.
Yeah.
And I also miss when Greg Fraser was working on it because it looked so much better. Because he knows how to use the technology
that's
he
true.
like practically invented for it. But I guess we could touch more on Book of Boba Fett. We've talked about it before. It's still, to me, the worst of the shows.
I mean, it's what we talked about too earlier.
Yeah.
Where it's like a favorite character that people love, and then try to put like backstory.
Yeah.
For it.
But I still feel like in order to commit to his cool thing, they don't.
They don't.
And like, he's supposed to be flawed and conflicted. And he was an antagonist for a while. How come we can't see that? How come all of a sudden he's a protagonist?
Yes.
And I like... Oh my god, I can't even remember who his like side person was that was with...
Oh yeah, I don't remember her name either.
Yeah.
But she was great though.
I liked that part of it though. Yeah. I feel like everyone around him was more interesting than he was. But I also really liked Tamora Morrison. And wish that they would have given him more to do.
Wait, say it again?
What?
Wait, so what's his name? The actor's name?
Tamora Morrison.
Morrison to do?
Morrison to do? Morrison to do.
Morrison to Dune?
It's late. I think we're...
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I'm just pulling strings at this point.
Like Palpatine.
Oh my god.
Or like
Jar
this,
Jar Binks.
No, or like this dumbass from Ahsoka.
Oh, what are your thoughts on Ahsoka?
Thrawn.
Oh, yeah.
So...
How was Thrawn in there?
Oh wait, you can't see him. I'm shrugging.
Oh.
He's blue.
Okay.
He's
But what does he do in the show?
fucking nothing. He's
Nothing. He's just there.
so he's supposed to be the master manipulator, right?
What do you
But
mean?
every single time one of his plans goes wrong in the show, he's like, "This is all part of my plan," and they just keep doing it over and over. It sounds like an Austin Powers thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like I hate this show. I don't.
Yeah.
I like it enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Would you want to see another season?
Yes,
Okay.
because it has good ideas in there. They're trying to keep too much with. I thought it was weird they did this.
Yeah.
They're trying to on purpose do the prequel style of acting.
Okay.
There's weird pauses. The way everyone talks to each other is really kind of like stoic.
Oh.
And
okay.
the thing that annoyed me the most about it though is I was like, Ahsoka's not like this though.
Yeah.
And that like it started to get on my nerves because I was like, I've seen enough of Clone Wars to know Ahsoka doesn't act this way.
Yeah.
Do the other Jedi Knights? Yeah, but not this character.
No, Ahsoka.
And-
Even like later on though, like she's still witty. Even,
Yeah.
Even when she's an like adult and like is growing up and everything.
Yeah. No, she turns into like Mace Windu level of
Oh.
kind of stoicism and the way they all talk to each other. And it's another one of those things where it's like we're hunting down a device to go get this thing, to go somewhere else, to go do this.
It's always a device.
But the action's really good.
Mm-hmm.
The lightsaber battles, especially in the first few episodes, are really cool. But then you sort of feel like the show itself is trying to explain everybody to me over and over because they're like, you need to see Rebels to have seen it. I'm like, I don't think I do because everyone keeps telling me who they are over and over. And I had only seen about a season of Rebels, I think. This sort of acts as a season 5 to it.
Oh.
But I do like it enough. It's just that the Thrawn is an idiot, and I hate that character, actually.
Yeah.
But everybody, like, loves him so much. I'm like, you are going to have to prove to me that this character is worth giving any kind of a fuck about.
Yeah, I wonder why, because people always talk about Thrawn.
Because
it's from the books. So.
maybe, like, I'm being harsh on him in the show.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't work that well in the show. And there's like some really cool ideas here. Mary Elizabeth Winstead doesn't get anything to do.
Oh.
And I wish that she would have. Because it's mostly focused on Sabine and Ahsoka.
Okay.
Their relationship, I wish they had more chemistry with each other. Because then she has an apprentice and that's her.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't really get this thing that you're trying to do to make her like Anakin. When you're also writing her to not be like him at all.
Yeah.
It is flawed, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
There's enough good stuff in it, but it slogs. It's like really slow and it drags a lot, but there's also some really good stuff in it too. Anyway, Erwin, I think that's about everything.
Thank goodness. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
That was a lot of Star Wars. Oh my gosh.
And now we're never going to talk about Star Wars again until Star Wars Acolyte comes out like next
true.
month. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of them being in a prequel setting.
I don't even know when it takes place. I haven't seen a trailer for it.
Oh, I saw it where it looks like it's before the prequels, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like way before.
I'm excited. I'm excited for new Star Wars stuff. I just want it to be. I want something like to be Star Wars
before or anything that doesn't involve Skywalker. Great.
Yeah. No, I just want to see other stuff that they do.
Yes, I
and then
agree.
Palpatine's like, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, it's Jar Jar Binks.
Honestly, if they did it that fourth time in a row, then it'd just be funny. I'd be like, you know what?
Yeah, I'll lead into it.
Yeah. Jar Jar Binks. I think somebody said that Jar Jar Binks could reasonably show up somewhere.
I can see it
Was it
happening.
Andor? That'd be so fucking funny.
Doesn't
What
make
if he was like?
sense.
But what if he was like a rebel and then he was like, "I'm gonna help you, Andor." That'd be hilarious.
No,
This is why they don't let fans come up with stuff.
basically.
Yeah, I would put Jar Jar everywhere. Make him have like a Logan style movie. Watch the box office explode.
No, that was a tweet.
Yeah, no, that's a tweet. That's a meme.
All right.
Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening. The next episode we'll have is an episode reviewing The Fall Guy. And then the week after, we'll have a review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Are you excited for it?
Apes!
The Apes Together
Apes!
Strong thing? Dude,
Apes Together
I'm so
Strong.
excited for it. I'm so excited
I'm
for
probably
it.
going to do the same thing as you and try to watch
Marathon
all of
them?
Yeah,
Oh my
all
god,
three
it
of
was... I think it's well
I'll
worth
probably
doing.
just do like one a day or something.
Yeah, because dude, but just as long as you can remember all the characters and everything that are.
I might
then-
skip the first one just because I've seen that one so many times.
I've seen it a lot. Yeah.
But I'll watch the other two. So
But anyway, everyone, if you could please leave a review for us on either Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere that podcast can be found. And if you would like a shout out on the show, all you have to do is
yeah, my rooster's going.
submit a star rating. I think you can tell we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
And
He's like, guys, stop.
he's like, get out of here, go home. The movie's over. That's from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right?
There you go.
Yeah. But DM at somewhere between film on Instagram with a picture of you reviewing it, and we will shout you out on the show. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.